Dear plant lovers, welcome to a 3-hour-long plant tour video of my entire plant collection. For those of you fanatic enough to watch this in one sitting, please identify yourself in the comment section. But for the rest of you, I urge to watch this over a few sittings at your own pace. This episode is full of twists and turns as we explore a huge biodiversity living in my home. I share care tips and troubleshoot on the spot, so there will be plenty to learn from.
Hi guys, my name is Sean. I'm a houseplant enthusiast from Jakarta, Indonesia. In this episode, we're going to be looking at all my plants in my collection, and that is every single plant that I'm owning right now. And some of them are actually struggling, some of them are doing well. If you've been following the channel, you know that I have actually moved into this house that I bought 9 months ago. It's been a very challenging move, but some of the plants have thrived here, and I have lost some plants. So I have a lot of stories to share with you guys, some interesting troubleshooting and care tips as well. And in today's episode, you will discover a lot of interesting species that you may want to add to your collection. Now, I will be doing the tour in different categories, but all in one video because we want to keep them all in one video in one concise topic. So it's going to be a very long one. I don't know how long this video is going to end up, but I'm going to show you the different environments in my house. It's a tiny house that I live in. It's about 5 meters by 13 in total, including this backyard garden area. So I will be explaining the environment and the care in each of these unique environments and the plants that live there. And I'm going to be showing you my aroid collection first, and then I'm going to be showing you my non-aroid collection. So out here on the front porch, all these plants get rained on or hosed on generously every single day, and it's actually facing the south. And right now, as of filming, it is in June, so the sun is actually way behind the house. This means that the whole area here in the balcony received very, very bright shade. However, come September or October, I would have to start moving some of the plants indoors, and some of the full sun or direct sunlight loving plants can remain out here in the balcony, because in December, the sun will be way down here in the south. It'll be scorching hot. In fact, some of the light will stream in through the window, giving it a lot of light indoors. So some of these plants, such as this aglaonema here, will do really well indoors, receiving very good bright indirect light. So I'm adopting this strategy of moving my plants around to give them better light according to the direction of the sun. So we're in the back of the house in my little greenhouse. It's about 3 meters by 5 meters wide, and the sun is actually in the north now, and this is facing the north. So we're getting very good light these few months, and a lot of the plants are really responding well to the additional light. But this setup is actually enclosed completely from the rain, which means that I get to control over how much moisture the plants are getting, because in my previous rented home, a lot of plants were actually rotted in the rain. And the rooftop here also prevents moisture from leaving, so sometimes we get very good humidity in here. And it also prevents a lot of pests from coming into and attacking these plants. And I'm going to show you quickly up above, there is a paranet that I've installed, and this net is only going to be up here for about 3 to 4 months, because right now, again, sometimes the sun can be so scorching hot. Some of the plants are actually suffering, even though it's not direct sunlight, but it is a little bit too hot and too intense for some of the plants here. And there's a feature here in the back where there's a green wall with some cocoa fiber behind, and we also will get a close-up look later when we tour these plants, but it's sort of my way of mounting the plants on and having a lot of these aroids root into the wall and grow and climb up higher. However, there are some challenges with growing it this way, and I will share with that in the tour. We will start the balcony tour with this alocasia. Sorry, I'm climbing up a stool here. An alocasia, this plant can get rather big actually, and they do enjoy a little bit of direct sunlight, so east-facing direct sunlight would be very good for them. They're very, very prone to spider mites. Treat them often. And then up here, sorry about the glare, there's your Anthurium veitchii hybrid that I got a very long time ago. I managed to propagate a few of these, and I've had some babies and also some flowering as well. But for Anthurium veitchii hybrid, they don't have that strong veitchii ribbing that we actually like. But I just have enjoyed this plant, having it around, because it's so easy to grow and it size up actually quite fast, but it does not, in my care, get as big as the Anthurium veitchii. Next, along the railing, we've got the Syngonium hohenlandii, fast-growing Syngonium. Indestructible. It can take bright indirect light. It can also take quite low light. It's quite forgiving Syngonium actually, although I did battle spider mites at some point, and after that infection has been cleared, I haven't had them return. So this is one that I really recommend. It's known for its beautiful white stripe down the middle. It's got a velvety finish for a Syngonium as well. I've had it indoor before and I've had it outdoors, and they just have been taking off quite well. So I have a lot of these grown as wheat around the house as well. So we might see some of its siblings that were misplaced. And then next up, we've got a Philodendron Bealeatii. This one was actually from our variegated video. We did separate this. Sorry about the car. There's actually, just so you know, there's like construction going on. There's a lot of cars. People are starting to move into the neighborhood. So it's nice to see people moving in, but we also have a lot of noise around the neighborhood. And I just have to tolerate it a little bit because I know that this is just a phase. But look at how beautiful these are. And some Bealeatis can take a bit of direct sunlight. I've seen them in full sun even at Mr. Greg Humbali's place. But yeah, bright indirect will serve them well. So do not give them too much direct sunlight. And as I mentioned earlier in the introduction, all of these aroids will be moved indoors where they get bright indirect light in a few months' time. But for now, as you can see, the sun is actually behind the house. That is the west, and that is northwest. So the sun is coming down now, but it's sort of skimming through on the northern hemisphere. So all these plants are actually getting no direct sunlight at this time. This, I believe, is the Syngonium Maria. It's like so bushy. If you look at how bushy this has gotten, I should probably repot it. And then this is a Philodendron, I think, Plowmanii. I've had a lot of these propagating away. Look at this new leaf coming out. And a Scindapsus silver splash, if I'm not wrong. These can actually mutate, so the leaves can turn into like a regular pictus if you put it in lower light. But if you give it high light, the silver will really come through. Fast growing, easy to propagate, and it's quite beautiful. And this next one here is the Alocasia, probably the Suharmaniana or the Watsoniana. I'm not really sure because I haven't seen it fully mature. It's died back a few times, but it's come back every single time. So it's got beautiful underside for the leaves as well. And this is just now like sizing up. As you can see, that new leaf that's coming out will be quite big. And this is what I like the neighbors to see. That's why a lot of my Alocasias live out here along this balcony railing. The Philodendron mame, they can get really big, and that new leaf has just come out. And this have been battling infection with a lot of my mames. I think they have been infected since they were little, but hopefully we can overcome that with regular sprays of fungicide and neem oil. As you can see, the new leaf here is quite perfect. Some people may cut off the old leaf to prevent the infection from spreading to the healthy new leaves. I haven't done so because, I don't know, I should. But yeah, if you keep treating it, I think the infection should spread at some point. Syngonium batik, quite unstoppable as well. All my Syngoniums have given me no fuss, no trouble. This is a Philodendron mame, if I'm not wrong. Yes, it is. It's a few vines living here actually. There's 2 or more. Not the fastest growing in my care, but they're quite beautiful, and they do look very nice indoors, like next to some furniture. Stera Carcentianum, or the Peru, beautiful. They kind of look like the Pinati partita, except they don't size up or fenestrate when you let them climb up. So I've just had this around the house as well, but I've not really known what to do with it. But I quite love the texture on the leaves. Easy to grow, fast growing, easy to propagate as well. This is a classic Dieffenbachia. We actually propagated this for my Dieffenbachia video. So this is the only surviving one that I kept with me. This can get rather big, and we see this everywhere. This is the ZZ plant, and yes, they are aroids, which is why they're in this segment. This one was living indoors for a very long time, and it did suffer in the beginning of the move. It gave me a lot of yellowing leaves that died off, but then it started putting out these new leaves. So I had this put out here a week ago. So it's only been out here for a little while to just let nature take care of it, because sometimes when rain fall on these plants, they are actually providing a lot of oxygen to the roots and nitrogen. And by the way, I just gave it some fertilizer. This is cow manure, slow release. And then so the rainwater will help break down the nutrients better than tap water. So this plant will hopefully thrive even more, because as you can see here, it's growing beautifully. So a little bit of fertilizer will boost its growth even more. And there's some ZZ Raven here, the dark or black ZZ. And this is from our video, by the way. We filmed it about a year and a half ago, I think. And here's an update for it. We did sell quite a lot of the cuttings, but this is the one that I have. It's actually quite slow growing because I've been giving it little light, but hopefully out here it will get better. This is a new leaf, as you can see, because it's still got a little bit of green. So they started with the green new growth, and then they will start to fade slowly over time to become jet black. And another ZZ plant that we have here is the variegated one. This one has lost a lot of variegation, but as you can see, some of them still have some variegation. I'm hopeful that one day this may give me some variegated babies, or what I can do is probably to propagate them by single leaf cuttings, and hopefully they will give me variegation. Someone please comment down below if the variegation can transfer through propagations by the cutting. And I think one of the reasons why this one has reverted is because I had it in my indoor room in my rented home before this, so it was getting per medium indirect light, and it did not like that. Now it is 2 months later, and look at how beautiful the variegations are. And this is a new vine that came out. And then look at those, there's 2 on the way. It really likes being outdoors, being out here in very, very bright light. I would say it's getting like full sun, but it's been cloudy, so it's not like super burny, hot full sun. But I think at some point when the sun shifts its direction, I might have to consider moving it a little bit inward so that it doesn't get burnt. This is a ZZ Zenzi. It's a dwarf ZZ plant, very, very slow growing, but it is extremely cute. Look at how close those internodes are. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about this, except that I killed it a few times and it just came back for me when I put it out here in almost full sun. And I guess I'll wait for it to bush out a bit more. They actually look really nice in a clump, in a bushy clump. And next, these are aglaonemas. This is the Siam Aurora. Beautiful, easy to grow, stunning. Look at the color of this. And this is very, very cheap here in Indonesia. And there are a few plants living in here. Some of them I stuck them as cuttings. Some of them were sprouted from the mother plant. So yeah, this is the aglaonema pictum tricolor crossed with rotundum. Beautiful hybrid. It's got hybrid vigor as well because it's easy to grow, fast growing. Maybe because it's got the best trait from both of the parents. Look at the camouflage pattern on the leaves and some of the striping from the rotundum. And next here we have a caladium. Don't forget that these are actually aroids. This is a Thai beauty. Plant fell on it, so it kind of died off. But as you can see, new babies are sprouting from down below. This one actually does prefer a little bit of a brighter light because it's living under a few plants here. So maybe I should move this somewhere where it's getting better light. This is that same plant. 2 months later, it's put out a beautiful new leaf, hopefully more coming along the way. And the babies are still coming along quite slowly. And next up here, we've got 2 Dieffenbachias. I really have a thing for Dieffenbachia. There's a lot living in this pot. I love propagating. Look at these little babies that's coming out. And if you illuminate them with a light source at night, this will light up your garden really beautifully. And this is another Dieffenbachia. Sorry, I don't know the names of all the Dieffenbachias. I don't memorize them. There's so many of them, and only one of me. But I really love the pattern, and they're always putting out with a new leaf. They're fuss-free, easy to grow, and the patterns are just so stunning. And one more thing is that they look like variegated plants, but then their variegation or their patterns are always stable. There's another caladium hidden behind here, and I'm sorry for the construction noises around, but this one was from our caladium video, if I'm not wrong. We did propagate this, so if you want to see how that's done, search for it in my channel. Beautiful markings on these. This is the Thermatophyllum Xanadu. As a Thermatophyllum, they can take stronger light than your philodendrons. They're distantly related to your philodendrons. And this one has a thick main stem if you let it grow out. But this is an extremely slow grower for me. Maybe because it does want a little bit more light than your philodendrons. So yeah, but I do enjoy the shape and I enjoy its slow growth within my collection. This is probably your most common Syngoniums. I don't know why. Everywhere we go and we see Syngoniums, they look like this variety. Maybe because it's so fast growing, easy to grow. So that's probably why. And it's also quite beautiful as well. Next to it, a Monstera adansonii. This is very, very common. And back here, we've got a Syngonium. Now, I don't know what variety this is. I swear it's probably the Moonshine, but the new leaves look like that. So how cool is that? They can actually mutate a bit, I guess, but yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy it for whatever it is. But I think this started out as a Syngonium moonshine. Syngonium moonshine or moonlight, slow growing Syngoniums, but they are very resilient. They like it bright in direct light. If you give them low light, the white will not be as beautiful as this. It will become like a dull green almost, and it will grow so slowly for you. So this is growing with a lot of vigor, but taking its time. Look at how much growth there is from there, and a lot of growth points, as you can see here in the middle. Another beautiful Dieffenbachia. I got this as a baby. It was like super tiny when I got it. I think I got it as a tiki torch. That's probably what the name is. But look at the markings on this plant. It's so stunning, and I'm in love with this. I got this from Airy Garden. If you want to check out the seller, I don't know if she still has it, but yeah, it's growing slowly, but surely. This here is an Aglaonema rotundum from Aceh region in Sumatra. Look at the electrifying pink on this. It's actually quite easy to grow here, although some people have challenges growing this, but I haven't had much problem. And over here is a Philodendron Florida Ghost. It's actually growing in full sun, which is why the leaves look like light green and bleached like this. If I'm not wrong, one of the leaves were also variegated. Yeah, a lot of them are a bit burnt as well. This is a sign of burn. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to propagate this into more plants, because this came from this pot over here. So I basically just piled it here during the move and just let it climb and do its own thing, because I haven't had the chance to properly take care of it. But look at all these ants crawling around and all the extra floral nectaries that's on the plant. That's the pink dots that you see on the plant. That's the plant producing sugar to attract the ants, and in return the ants protect the plants from pests. 2 months later, this plant has started to flower. I'm excited. Ooh, something jumped out at me. Flower. I'm excited to see it open up. Look at all these ants enjoying all the extra floral nectaries. And this one particular node that is opening up, something interesting about it. I noticed a few days ago that the sheath is a little bit variegated, and now I know that this plant has sporadically given me some variegated leaves, such as this one here. I don't know if you can tell. This is burn, this stripe, but the one around that, that's actually a bit of variegation. So this is an all green Florida Ghost from all I know, but someone that I gave a cutting to told me that his has turned into a variegated plant. So this is something that sometimes happens to them. Look at how beautiful and intricate that unfolding looks over there. And there are some caladiums here. I don't know how they ended up here. This is the Hilo Beauty. I think I had some corms thrown in here a while ago. They died back, but they have now grown back. This is also a very cute caladium here. I hope that they do well. This is a Thermodophyllum bipinnatifidum. Very common plant. They love full sun. A lot of landscaper use this as a filler. They do fill up the space beautifully. The variegated ones are really beautiful. They do take up quite a lot of space, so make sure you have them. They don't do particularly well indoors, and I've seen this plant used in a lot of the wedding floral type decorations as cut leaf plant. So this is actually very fast growing if you give it the right conditions, and also an inexpensive plant to get. Dieffenbachia reflector. Really stunning. You do want to give this kind of medium or low light to produce this beautiful striking stripes and also dark foliage. If you give them bright indirect light like this one, this is actually a little bit bleached because it's getting a tiny bit of direct sunlight. I just want to show you the kind of light that it's getting. I put my camera pretending that it is the leaf. So you see it's got like slithers of direct sunlight that can actually hit it. So yeah, maybe it's time to move it out from here at some point. And back here we've got a Philodendron Linnet. Beautiful philodendron. They can actually be a rosette, but because it's like trying to face the sun, it's growing sideways. Beautiful leaves. And then next, Philodendron Birkin. I'm like moving plants away so I can film properly, but I don't think this is the happiest Birkin that I've ever seen. So maybe it is time to move it at some point. And this whole area, by the way, needs to be re-landscaped, because when I moved here, I piled them up on here and it looked beautiful at the time. But I think it's really outgrown its space and it's looking very unruly now. peace lily. I don't know the variety name for this, but peace lilies are actually aroids as well. Look at this new spadix here. It's got beautiful pattern. It's getting chewed up by caterpillars. Look at this new leaf with the beautiful variegation on it. But this one leaf, for example, is getting chewed up by caterpillars. So I should probably do something about it when I have the time. But there's actually a lot of plants living in here. Look at the babies that are trying to sprout. So I might just actually wait it out a bit before I spend some time. I might actually do a video on how to separate these and care for these. Epipremnum cebu blue, this used to live indoors, but I moved all my plants out here so that the rain can take care of it, so we can water it more efficiently. But I hope one day to grow another one of these where it's like large and fenestrated. Check out my video if you want to see me grow these out into a large giant plant. But that is actually not my favorite plant because it's grown so fast that I don't have the space for it. So I'm just keeping it small in this pot for now. There is an Anthurium pedata here, and beautiful new leaf. But the old leaves somehow just keep getting attacked by this fungus rust. So yeah, but this plant is very much alive, so I'm just keeping it here. I do need to keep it on top of its infection, spray it often if I have the time, and it flowers so much. It flowers all the darn time. Look at that, and it's taking a lot of energy. I see 2 flowers here. And this is a good contender for hybridization, I guess. I do see a lot of hybrids come out from this Pedata radiatum that's got an interesting shape and form. And back here is a Monstera deliciosa, the large form, but it is very much dead. Let me show you this. We moved it here and it was not happy for a long time, but this is what the stem looks like. And as you can see, it's like pretty much dead. I mean, there's still a chance to save it. I think if I make the cuttings here and then propagate it, but I might just actually run out and buy a healthy new one, because this is where I want a statement piece for the house. I want this Monstera to kind of climb up and take over that ceiling there. But yeah, I might just do that. If I do run out and see one that I like, just get a new one, because this is like almost not worth my time saving at some point. Sorry. This is actually 2 months later. I've been traveling a lot, and I think the plant heard us when we said we were gonna throw it away because it put out a new leaf. Oh my gosh, this is alive. Yeah, so there's a lot of aerial roots here, so I guess we do water it sometimes. As you can see, new roots have formed over there. And yeah, the bottom part is so compromised. Yeah, I don't think this is going to be sufficiently giving the plant any nutrients, because look at how badly damaged this is. This is really, really not so good, not looking very good at all. So I might give it a chance and maybe propagate it. I might cut it off over here where there's new aerial roots, because this is potentially going to become a new plant. This is horrendous though. I need to cut these leaves off because it's the first thing that the neighbors see before they come into my house. So yeah, I'm very torn about this, but I'm pleasantly surprised by its resilience. So I'm gonna give it a go. And I'm gonna save a bit of money from buying another one as well. Now, if you remember my house tour video, this was filled with plants, that was filled with plants. But again, I've moved everything outside so we can take care of them better, so they will thrive better in better light. Because the sun is behind us now, so we're not getting any light that is coming in through this window. So you will see that this is quite sparse at this time. But this is a Philodendron brandtianum. Look at how tiny and cute the little leaves are. There's a lot of vines living in there, which is why it's grown only small leaves. There's an Anthurium clarinervium living in here just by the books. And Amydrium zipalianum. I should probably save this. I don't think this is super happy here. This is a new leaf. It's only put out this new leaf in the last 9 months. And this plant is actually a very fast grower. Usually it will even put out runners to try to find an ideal place. But this has not put out a lot of leaves in 9 months. I'm so sorry. But the thing is, if I release this in my greenhouse in the back, this will take over the space way too quickly. So I need to figure out what to do with this plant. But I really love its palm-like leaves that kind of come down like that. And let's see what to do with you. And this is an Aglaonema pictum tricolor. Don't worry, I have big specimens of this, but this was just a cutting that fell off and I just stuck it in water. As you can see, new roots have emerged, and at growth point here, it's putting out a new vine. So thought it's just interesting to show you that. And this, sorry, I do need to do a bit of pruning here. I plan to add a little bit of staghorn fern or platyceriums here to fill up the spaces. It'll look much nicer. But I thought I'd quickly go through what's here. That's a Scindapsus, jade satin, Monstera Adansonii, and this is a Scindapsus silvery Ann, and it's come down all the way down to my dining table. So I quite enjoy this when I'm having my meals, to stare at it. Philodendron hederaceum lemon lime, Monstera carcentianum or Peru, Scindapsus silver lady, Philodendron hederaceum green form, the Scindapsus argyrius, and back there the Scindapsus trubii dark form. And let me quickly show you this. It's come down all the way down, and it's like going around my kitchen floor. I should propagate this, but you know what, I'm kind of amused by this. And I realized that if you give it more time, because this came out as runners before, if you give them more time, they will start putting out leaves, and these leaves are actually expanding in size. So at some point I may, like, look at this one, this is so cute, it's gonna expand in size. So I may propagate this and give it away to neighbors and such, because they make beautiful decorations. They're actually very slow growing plants, this Scindapsus, but then that makes them ideal also for some living spaces. They can take a wide variety of care, negligence, and light levels. All right, and we're moving on to the back area here. This is a Scindapsus mosaic like the virus, because it's got these little specks of dots on here. The main plant is upstairs. I hope we get the chance to see it, but I thought I'd also show you all the cuttings. This is the same plant. Interesting, right? It looks like a sickness, but it's not. It's actually doing well and it's growing fine. And again, this is the propagation, so the mother plant, we will see it upstairs. Some baby Dieffenbachias here. This is a Spathiphyllum variegated that I got online, and it died during shipment. So we just cut the whole foliage off, and look at that, new growths have been emerging from here. This is a Aglaonema of some kind. Syngonium, yellow variegated. This is a reverted yellow variegated Syngonium. I don't know why I keep it around, but they look just so classic and beauty with the arrowheads that I didn't have the heart to throw it away, but I really don't know what to do with these, to be honest. Now inside this jar is a Schismatoglotis, and it really hates the outside air. It needs to be in very humid environments. Whenever I put it out, it can grow a few leaves, but then it'll start to die back. Oh, and I need to give it a larger glass enclosure because this leaf is hitting the edge of it. It's got red underside. It is quite beautiful, but again, it is not easy, and it doesn't seem very happy with the outside environment. And it comes with darker leaf, if I'm not wrong, but this one has turned green for some reason, but normally it has like almost jet black color leaves. But we're going to look at its friend, which is in the propagation box down below, because I know I kept one down here. So let's check on it. Yeah, it's not looking so sexy in here. Hang on, let me pull this out. This one does indeed have the darker leaves, and it's doing okay. So they really love to be in this high humidity setup, and also in low light situation. Look at how beautiful the red underside is. Comment down below if you know the species name for this. And it's got like very nice leaf texture, almost like an expensive leather wallet. And while we're in here, we're gonna check on these. So this is a Scindapsus. I forgot the name of it, but we've got copies of it upstairs. And it's got really weird coppery finish. I don't know if you can see from here. It's got a weird coppery finish when I put it inside this prop box, and it's doing rather well. And these protrusion here, the silver bits, you can't probably see it well on the camera, but these silver bits here actually are a little bit protruded. So it is an interesting Scindapsus, and the one that's grown in here, look at all these aerial roots, they're just so vigorous. But I don't think this will be happy if I yanked it out and put it outside immediately. So I gotta gradually acclimatize it to normal humidity. But this is an interesting color on the leaves. I'm just only discovering this today. It's very coppery. And then here are my Equagenera rescue. I've put this Philodendron luxurians outside before and it suffered quite a lot. This is actually a little bit too wet for it, but it seems to be doing okay. But yeah, I need to start giving this a bit more of a dry moss, but they love that humidity in there. This died back into a stump twice. Each time the new leaf come out, and then I would put it outside for like 2-3 months, and the new leaf would not come out anymore, and that one leaf that was hanging out would just die off. So I need to figure out how to save this plant and let it live a meaningful life outside. But here's the thing, I've got all these nodes in here, which means that I can actually save this plant. And I just, by the way, I saw little white things crawl around, and that might actually be pests. So I might actually put some pest control on it right now. But I've got a lot of nodes that I can work with, that I can cut into pieces and try to grow many plants out of. But look at all these aerial roots coming out. So this plant is alive, and it's a potentially good mother plant that I can get some DNA out of later. Might be an interesting project to do. And also in here, what's really interesting, and I really need to do something about it soon, is this little fellow here. This is an El Choco Red. So it died back into like this stump over here. But then what happened is that it started putting out all these babies. Look at it, these are all babies. And there's still hope, I guess. I can still kind of separate them and try to grow them individually. This is really funny because this is exactly what a tissue cultured plant would grow like. They would grow into these clumps because of the gel that they were given to divide. And I'm really surprised that this would come out from this little stump here. So yeah, I don't know, maybe this plant was tissue cultured, but I'm pretty sure Ecuagenera doesn't tissue culture. Let me know, comment down below if you think that this plant may have been tissue cultured and maybe it's still exhibiting some of that behavior, that it could multiply a lot within the same node. But this is not normal. Here are a few propagates, the Syngonium erythrophyllus, Brandtianum babies. Look at that. This is how I create a lush pot of Brandtianum. I just take a lot of cuttings. This is a Monstera xanthosfarda, a very rare Monstera that I got as a gift from someone. Thank you so much. But I haven't been able to grow this into a mature form just yet. Beautiful. I just love looking at these Brandtianums. I don't know what to do with them. I just have all these cuttings around. Philodendron, that needs watering. Philodendron cream splash. Look at the beautiful new leaves. So these are all just propagates. They're just excess cuttings that I don't know what to do with. More Scindapsus. But I do, you know what, I enjoy, look at all these new leaves that's coming out. I do enjoy watching all these births of these new plants. Beautiful. Makes my day. So this is why I'm like so addicted to propagation, although I have not been doing as much as I was before, but I really enjoy this process of dividing plants and creating life. This is the Scindapsus sp Sumatra, also vigorous grower, very similar to the Trubii Moonlight, but it's a little bit different. So this is the same plant maybe, or this might be a regular Trubii. So yeah, this is side by side. This is the Trubii Moonlight, and that is the sp Sumatra. And then this is a Philodendron. Oh, whoa. Sorry about that. That's a variegated Florida Ghost, the Florida Beauty. Yeah, this is coming out really beautifully. This Burlemarx is variegated. And actually at some point I should probably release that onto the wall, which I haven't had the time to do yet. But I'm so sorry I dropped you. This should not be so high up on the shelf actually, but it's losing variegation. So I'm gonna grow this out a bit and then I'm gonna cut into single node cuttings in hope to bring back some of the variegation in the lower leaves. Philodendron Martianum with a new leaf. It's got this like thick stem, bok choy stem, and I recently saw the variegated of these and they are so cute. My gosh, but it's still way too expensive for me to collect. But yeah, really big, and this can get huge by the way, like 10 times bigger than this. And way up here, I'm gonna start dropping plants, but this is the Syngonium podophyllum variegatum, variegated Syngonium. They used to be so sought after. They're actually quite beautiful, and they're very, very affordable, very fast growing. One of the most, I would say, rewarding variegated plants for beginners. And this plant will teach you a lot about variegation as well, because if you put this in a less than ideal light situation, it will revert to green, so it'll be your perfect light meter. And look at just how stunning it is. Over here we have the Monstera dubia hiding all the way in the back. I kept it at its juvenile form and I basically vined it around this plank, keeping it small because they do get large. They get fenestrated leaves, but then they would lose these markings when they get large. So I'm saving it here, and someday I would propagate these and relinquish it to the green wall so that they can grow these beautiful leaves. But I don't really think I want them to grow mature leaves. And this here, Anthurium clavigerum. This can get really big and the leaves can get like wow. But yeah, it's taking a while to get there. It's still trying to adhere to the moss pole. I am trying to repot this and then kind of release it onto the wall so to let it grow. Another Florida beauty. These are all from tissue culture that I got in Thailand, and they all reverted to green. So gonna wait a few more leaves, gonna make this plant healthy, and then I'm gonna do single node cuttings down below and hope that I can get better variegation. Now back here, there's a lot of yellow variegated monsteras. This one has come out with a new leaf. Look at how beautiful that is. And I'm actually in the middle of filming a video for you guys on how to propagate this. So this is a major spoiler. This here is a Philodendron glorious, hybrid between gloriosum and melanochrysum. It's not doing terribly well, but let me show you why. But look at a beautiful leaf. So they have this gloriosum type shape with the climbing vigor of a melanochrysum, and it's grounded, so it's grown from way down below, and they do love that. But the problem with this, and why this is a little bit sick, is that this new vine here, it kind of missed the spot here. It hit the edge of this, so I didn't have room to grow, and I discovered it late. So I actually moved it out recently. As you can see, the new vine is growing here, and this one is putting out with a new leaf, but it should have sprouted leaves along these nodes, but it didn't because it did not get the ideal condition for it. And that's why it's probably struggling a bit. And up here, this is a Philodendron UPI. It's still quite small, but it's coming along well. I got this as a baby plant about 9 months or so ago, maybe 7 or 9 months ago. But yeah, it's gonna give it time to let it size up. Philodendron varicosum, this is the sign of overwatering, severe overwatering. What I'm gonna do, and these guys actually respond well to that, is to cut it in single node and just propagate them just with a bare stem, with a bare node like that. They actually love to be propagated that way and start over, because I kind of missed out on the opportunity to grow out beautiful ones. This is the Rhaphidophora pertusa. It's grown quite high up, and I do love these fenestrations. These are very, very inexpensive plants, fast growing, and totally easy to care for. Philodendron 69686. This is actually a little bit infected. I'm so sorry I have to show you this, but yeah, these little speckles should not be here. I hope that I can treat them, or if worst case scenario, I could just cut it, chop, 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 start over, and then treat the baby plants. This is 2 months later, and as you can see, the new leaf here is doing okay for the plant despite the bottom being a little bit sick. We did spray a bit of fungicide. If you see these spots here, this is fungicide on the leaves. This is the second latest leaf, and it's doing okay as well. So yeah, I'm treating this, but then for now I am keeping the old leaves because they're still photosynthesizing, they're still helping the plant along, and I'm just spraying down this whole area in general. But after some time, these leaves will die off, and hopefully the new growth will all be green and healthy, like this one. Philodendron melanochrysum here, it's only grown, let me follow it. Oh, it's actually grown up and up. See, the thing is, I don't really catch up with this garden as much as I should. It's grown quite high up, but the leaves have not sized up because this nodes did not adhere to the cocoa coir. And that is one of my challenges here, is that technically speaking, with every single growth, I should pin this down onto the cocoa fiber to let it root in there, and then when it roots, it's going to invest in bigger leaves, but I haven't had the time to do that with all my aroids. So this setup may not be so suitable. Adding moss behind this would be way too wet. I don't want there to be too much mold or anything. So yeah, I'm just going to live with this decision for now, and I'm a bit disappointed that this melanochrysum did not size up, but yeah, I'm just going to accept it for what it is. So for those of you thinking about doing this setup, you do need to tie your plants to the pole, to the wall very, very often. The brandtianums just growing everywhere. That's where it starts. Down below, some Alocasia bambino. They're having the time of their life down here. And this is looking really beautiful. And there's some over there. I don't know how they ended up all the way over here as well. And this is some kind of Rhaphidophora, I think. Foraminifera, if I'm not wrong. It's only grown up to here. It will fenestrate beautifully when it gets to a certain size. And back here we've got an Amplyssimum, Epipremnum amplyssimum silver, and beautiful silver stripes. I believe this has grown all the way up. Yeah, sorry, if you follow this is the silver. It's grown all the way up. It's so fast growing. The yellow variegated is also really beautiful, and if you like this kind of symmetrical growth pattern, you would like this plant, but this is quite underrated. The silver is truly beautiful, although I did wish that it will slow down a little bit in its growth. But look at the contrast between this and the Brandtianum behind it. How cool is that? Syngonium tricolor here. This is some kind of a pink Syngonium, and this is one that's put out another tricolor. I have a lot of Syngoniums here, by the way. This is the very common Syngonium. This is the Syngonium Three Kings. Sorry, I'm going a little bit fast. This is another Alocasia bambino. Another Syngonium tricolor, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. Or the salmon something. Don't really remember. This is a Philodendron tortum. It was living in water, and I did a mid-air surgery to put it into this pot here, so it's still recovering. This is the Epipremnum marble. It will fenestrate beautifully once it's climbed up high. Schismatoglotis, I don't exactly know the variety, but they are aroids. This is the Philodendron Soderoi, and I bought another one despite my previous one having had mosaic virus. I have a video that warned people against it, but this one actually does have a little bit of infection. So be careful if you're getting Soderois. A lot of them are coming into tissue culture, and a lot of them are infected. Philodendron White Wizard or White Knight. I think this is the wizard. And then the Amydrium medium silver. This is just a regular Scindapsus pictus. It's just crawling everywhere. And this is my favorite Syngonium. Syngonium macrophyllum frosted heart. Beautiful leaves on these. Look at that. And the growth pattern is quite nice. It's got this like amazing palm-like, there you go. You see that? Beautiful growth pattern here. And it does want to climb. This is Homalomina black when I got it. Another peace lily. I don't know the name of this variegation, but crinkly leaves, an interesting texture. The flowers also come in with these beautiful crinkle on the flowers as well. This is Aglonema pictum tricolor. It's flowered many times for me before. Philodendron fibricatophyllum. Philodendron fibricatophyllum. Philodendron hastatum, silver sword. It needs to grow up higher and size up, but it hasn't done so. This is a Philodendron white princess, if I'm not wrong. It's many vines actually living in there. Look at that. Philodendron subhastatum. Beautiful. The top looks quite normal, but the underside is beautiful. This is why I place it up above, because I wanted to see the underside. And if you look at this here, this is a sign of overwatering. When you have a bit of crispiness on the edge of the leaves and a bit of yellowing between the green and the crisping, it's a sign of the plant trying to reduce water, trying to remove excess water. I really do enjoy seeing these Scindapsus everywhere. This might actually be the tricolor, but I might be wrong. And this is a Anthurium, let me see, Anthurium luxurians crossed with Papillilaminum from Mr. Eddie Pranotto. Thank you so much. Actually, it's a bit risky for me to move here a few days ago, because when you move it on this green wall, it does not have, I don't have as much control over watering, because these guys, they cannot be overwatered. They will not forgive you for it. This is a Philodendron pink princess. I think that's reverted almost. And this one here is some kind of Anthurium hybrid. Don't know what this is exactly. Looks like a Magnificum hybrid. And everywhere along this green wall, you'll see this Anthurium polyschistum. They grow like this everywhere. So if you see these pops of like fireworks of leaves, you know it's them. Oh yeah, speak of the devil, there's some right here. Variegated Monstera. And this was doing really well until the top leaves is starting to lose its variegation. I don't know why. Sometimes it's luck, maybe it's not enough light. but I'm waiting for the next leaf, and then let's see what to do with you. But it's looking quite beautiful. It's like the only statement piece along this wall, as you can see if I zoom out a bit. And this is a philodendron something, but a regular lemon type philodendron, very inexpensive, but quite nice for a green wall. By the way, a lot of the plants I noticed did not do so well on this green wall. Some of them do. So I may actually do a video soon to advise on which plants do better in green walls. This is the philodendron micans. I kind of have them going all around the house, but look at that, they're growing everywhere like a weed. But they're more than welcome to take over the space. And hopefully if they get all the way up there and they get a little bit more light, they can become this beautiful sunstressed red. Scindapsus argyrius hanging out here. Another fabricated phylum here. Look at this, the edges here. You can tell that they're desperately trying to remove excess water. This is overwatering. And sometimes they're also caused by the plant getting watered on, but then getting no light. Look at that, it's behind another plant. So the plant is not photosynthesizing as much, or it's not taking in the water as well as it should. But sometimes if you get it better, like look at the new leaves, as it access to better light, they are photosynthesizing better. So maybe that will do fine over time. This is a philodendron squamiferum. Very cute. It hasn't grown much since I had it over here, but beautiful fuzzy petiole. Anthurium sp limon. They can fenestrate beautifully, but I just took the top cutting that was fenestrated and sent it to one of the clients that bought from me last year. Unfortunately, her shipping was cooked, steamed, and it was she received a bad shipment last year. So what I did this year was I just replaced her with a bunch of plants, and this is one of the cuttings that I took for her, and I really hope that it will do well in her new home. Yeah, this plant hasn't grown on me in a year or so. So I guess it's not doing well here, and I really need to find a place. I need to move it around a bit. Philodendron strawberry shake. And here's what I mean, like this plant is not really adhering to the moss here. I should actually kind of tie it with every new leaf growth. I should like kind of help it along, but I didn't. So sorry about that, but this is a good contender for actually propagation because the internodes are quite long, so you can cut single nodes and try to get many baby plants out of this, because this is actually quite beautiful. The cream splash philodendron, I don't know where it's grown, but yeah, it's hopefully going to take over the wall. I'm going to give it more time. The painted lady down here, long time no see. This was hidden under many plants. This is the Anthurium radicans hybrid, crossed with luxurians, I think. This is the Epipremnum amplyssimum yellow variegated. More burlamarks, yellow variegated. This is the Philodendron Paraiso verde, a fast-growing philodendron that has really beautiful variegation. The more light you give it and the more warmth you give it, the more variegation it will give you. This is a totally fast-growing and unstoppable plant. Another Anthurium clavigerum. I have a lot of duplicate plants of this around, but I do enjoy the shape. If they do adhere to a pole, at some point it can give you really beautiful leaves, but it hasn't done so yet. Philodendron bipanifolium, or the violin, but this is the golden variety, so it's like bright yellow, and its main stem is growing all the way down to the ground level, but the leaves do turn green over time, so only the new leaves are yellow like this. This is a Epipremnum Shangri-La. Not my favorite. I don't know what to do with this. They just curl in on itself like that. I don't think nature would ever intend them to look this way. It's not beneficial for their survival, but there you go, I have it here and hope that it survives. This is a Scindapsus coriaceus variegated. This is where the bottom vine is. It's an interesting, almost like stabilo yellow-orange type variegation on the plant. And this is an Anthurium from Aquagenera that I actually may need your help because I don't remember what it is. I could check the receipt, but I don't know, man. I've got like 500 things to do, but if you happen to know what this is, shout it out. But it's doing okay. It was a rescue, so it came out of nothing. It was dead to a stump. So now it's this size. This is an Anthurium biteriifolium variegated. It's like not so variegated, I guess, but I might actually chop this and propagate it to encourage some new growth that is variegated. These are the older leaves, and it flowers so profusely. I have to cut off the flower every month or so. But other than that, it's an easy growing Anthurium. These are Adansonii, local variegated, or we call it the mint. It's actually supposed to be white variegation, but as you can see here, it's a bit green on green because it is hiding behind other plants, so it's not getting the best light. But it's grounded down below, so it's got like some good DNA over here. So I may actually propagate this in the future if I want to bring back some of the whites, because it's got some nice variegated genes in there. But by the way, these Adansonii, if they do well, if they adhere well to this, they can actually turn into really large leaves. So yeah, but unfortunately, I don't think I'm gonna achieve that with this particular specimen. All right, we're gonna continue the tour with this area back there because yesterday we're done with the green wall area. And I just wanna let you know that these aroids are grounded, which means they're growing vigorously, they're growing large leaves, and they're gonna climber up, and some of them are gonna start taking over this wall soon. So I'm excited for that. But at the same time, there are some aroids that are under those leaves because these leaves sized up so fast. So there are a few struggling aroids down there that we might fine. So we covered the Paraiso Verde yesterday, but nestled along this, if you notice the zebra pattern leaf here, this is the Alocasia zebrina. I've had a video on this. This is one of my propagates that grew large. They used to be so expensive. Look at this beautiful petiole here. They used to be incredibly expensive, and now the prices have really stabilized, and anyone who wants this plant can afford it. And it's grounded, as you can see down below. And there's the gloriosum here. It's not getting any light, I must admit, because there's so many leaves above it, but it's doing quite well. As you can see here, there is a Plumanii narrow form. Back there, let's see what's under. There's an Anthurium polyschistum in the middle of the screen. I remember there are a lot of burla marks. Fantasy, there. I can't see the screen. There are right there. You see that silver foliage there? So it's a little bit dark and grainy because it's completely dark down here. That's the burla marks Fantasy. This is the Philodendron verrucosum crossed with Milano, if I'm not wrong. And then the Araba Poince. And this one, I think because it's getting such good light here, that it's lost its red underside. It's supposed to have a very dark maroon underside. But this is a very fast growing philodendron that is doing well. And I just want to quickly show you, this is what extra floral nectaries look like, because someone just DM'd me about it. And look at all these ants busy harvesting the nectars from the nectarines. And philodendrons tend to do that. These nectaries provide sugar that attracts the ants, which in return, they will protect the plants from other kinds of pests. There's another Plumanii down here. It's sizing up quite fast. This is a Philodendron josebuano. Because it's getting lower light there, it's becoming quite dull, but some of the newer leaves actually look beautiful. Look at how big they have become. And this one is already climbing up that wall over there. So waiting for it to size up even more. And of course, this here, this is the Philodendron McDowell. It's doing so incredibly well. It's really, really sized up quite a lot. This is like bigger than my, I don't know, the whole thing is bigger than my body, I would say. And it's putting out like a new growth soon. And I think it should flower at some point. There is an Epipremnum Jesenia back there. I don't know what the difference is between the Jesenia and the regular Epipremnum aureum, but it's supposed to be quite different. Don't remember what else is in there. There are some creeping aroids there. This is the Rhaphidophora decursiva. It's still trying to find a place to climb onto. I think it's making its way over there. I don't remember, I planted it way back there. So it is creeping along, and it should find that wall and it should start climbing. And then there's an Epipremnum pinnatum variegata. And look at that. It's climbing up and up. And wait, when that new leaf unfurls, this should look quite beautiful. This Philodendron sharonii, I believe there are multiple vines of this because it did split into two. If that's not wrong, that is the flower. It is trying to flower, which is insane. And this is a Philodendron Florida bronze over here. So yeah, I don't remember. There's something else. I can't remember what that one is. I really don't. I think there's an Adansonii or Rhaphidophora. I really need to check this area a lot more often. There's a Monstera dubia somewhere. There's a Rhaphidophora heyi or reyi over there. So yeah, this is a little bit neglected. Sorry to say. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh, okay. So honestly, I don't really check that area very often. It's a little bit messy in here. I just kind of let them clamber over each other, find their own way, and those that don't make it simply will have to go. So there are a lot of bare areas here where I'm supposed to put a lot of aroids. It would be nice to have like anthuriums like that one that we showed earlier on. But again, with these anthuriums, I need to check them often. Like this is a good condition for it. I can see that it's slightly damp. It does not want to be too wet. So sometimes when you put them in on these walls, you cannot monitor the moisture as well. But it will be nice to have some of these anthurium leaves just kind of nestled around here, because we are going to look next in my upstairs area. Most of the anthuriums actually live up there. This is my VIP ICU unit where I rehab a lot of plants. Alright, so out here, this is a balcony that overlooks down below. And these plants are usually propagating away, or they're a little bit more sensitive. They need extra care. So they're here for now. I don't really want this to be an area where I keep permanent plants, because it's just not so sightly to have them up here on this balcony. Although I quite like those two aglaonemas, because when you film from over here, you can see a splash of color right on the bottom right hand corner there, and I really like that. So to continue our tour, this is a aglaonema Donna Carmen. Easy aglaonema, fast growing and beautiful coloration, and in Indonesia this is extremely cheap. You can buy one of these for less than $1. And then let me reach over the shelf. Next to it, this is the aglaonema Big Roy. It's got beautiful pattern on the leaves. Not as easy and fast growing as the Donna Carmen. This is what it looks like from the top. It started out as one vine, but as you can see, I don't know if I can reach, there's another vine that sprouted over there, down there. Sorry, it's a little bit hard to reach, so I'm just gonna stay here and show you what it looks like. Aglaonemas are truly underrated. They're actually very beautiful and easy to grow. And this here, there's an anthurium, and it kind of hangs over the pot. So we recently repotted it, adding a lot of media up above, but as you can see here, it's really a hanging type anthurium, an epiphyte, and this is probably some kind of hybrid, and I'm not sure where I got this plant from, but it is really beautiful. It's got a classic heart-shaped leaf, and it does want to hang. This is the Anthurium Cobra Scorpion hybrid from Mr. Eddie Pranoto. It's a gift. Thank you so much for this, and it's beautiful. It's quite slow growing in my care. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it is growing steadily. Next up here, we've got the Philodendron Patriciae, which I got from Aquagenera. It died into a stump, and I managed to propagate it, and now there's two plants living in here. This is usually a little bit underwatered, so I have to be on top of this. I don't know if it's just thirsty, or maybe like when the girls water it, they sometimes forget to water this plant. So this is what happens when you have more than one person to care for a plant, is that you don't know what the habit of the other person is, and sometimes they tend to miss certain spots and whatnot, but she's essential for my plant care because I'm traveling so much that I just have to live with that. But this is doing okay, I would say. It's sizing up quite beautifully too. Beautiful variegated monstera here that I propagated. And this one is reverting a bit, so I don't know what to do with it. It's like green, and then it put out a white leaf all of a sudden. So this is not going to do well. So I don't know what to do with this, but I don't have the heart to throw it away. I might propagate single node cuttings because, as you can see here, the node is still like nicely variegated. And this is a Thai constellation that I got from Thailand. Look at how beautiful it is. It's got like these solid parts of variegation. This is sizing up quite well as well, quite fast, considering how they usually grow quite slowly. This new leaf is quite amazing. I had this for about, I would say 9 months, but when I got it, it was like super tiny. It's like way tiny. So I'm happy with this growth. This is the Anthurium King of Spades, new leaf. All of these anthuriums, by the way, that I'm gonna show you are basically died into a stump when I moved to this house. They didn't do so well with the irregular care and sudden change in environment, but they're doing well now because there's AC coming in from this room, and there's a fan here that blows air over here. So the tip for growing anthuriums is cool air. They like it like I don't know, 18 to 24 degrees is ideal for them. 28 degrees is fine. Anything above 30 degrees, it's too hot for them. They like to be in bright indirect, maybe even medium light. They don't want it too bright, in fact. The leaves can bleach. I don't know what this one is. I really don't remember, but it is beautiful. And then this is the Andreanum Safari. The flowers look quite beautiful. I'm going to insert that on the screen. This one, I'm not sure what it is. Some crystallinums, I believe. Yeah, I think these are just the crystallinums. It sprouted a lot of babies, so I just separated them and waiting for them to size up. This is, I believe, from Cartel Daun, the Anthurium Dark Phoenix. He gave me a seedling. It died back, to be honest. It died and it came back to life. This was gifted to me about a year and a half ago, and it still remained quite small. But if you look carefully here, that might be variegation. It might be. How cool is that? So I hope that this one will do well. It will survive. I probably should pot it up higher. If you see here, there are nodes that are exposed. When you have these nodes and you plant them a bit deeper in the soil, they will grow roots and the new leaves will grow faster. So I might have to repot this. Yeah, while we're on that subject, here is the Anthurium Villanarum. It looks a little bit like the Gloriosum, actually, although it doesn't look like it now because we just repotted it and it's a little bit deep in the potting medium. But when it's a little bit more upright, when it's put out more leaves, you can kind of tell that it looks a little bit like the Gloriosum. And this one here, beautiful new leaf. Look at that. Don't have the plant ID on this as well, but I have a feeling this is the Magnificum hybrid of some sort. And this is from Potere Plants. It's a gift from him. This is the Anthurium something hybrid, I think. Pterodactyl, if I'm not wrong. Or, yeah, I really don't remember what this is. But if somebody have a clue or you want to guess, be my guess. Pun intended. This is probably a Forgetti hybrid if I look at it. Let me see. Oh, it says Ace of Spades. But I don't know. Sometimes these tags get lost. But maybe let me know if this looks like an Ace of Spades to you. But again, when I moved here, these all basically were a stump. I rescued all of these because they really were a bit abused. They had the wrong environment in my previous home. And then, of course, the move was stressful, especially for the Anthuriums. This beauty here. This is gifted from Eddie Pranotto. It's a Anthurium veitchii crossed with the Dorayaki. How beautiful is that? It's flowered many times for me, despite it being a small plant, so it's pretty compact. It does look like an isopod of some sort, but this is absolutely beautiful, easy, fast growing. It's always putting out a new leaf. So wonderful to have this around. And I think, let me see, which one is this? Yeah, that is some kind of infection, not so good, but let me look at the new, yeah, the new leaf seems to be okay. Don't know what this one is. Again, there's so many hybrids out there in the market. I bought a few, I'm guilty, but I'm also gifted a few, and I got some in a plant swap as well. So I don't really know sometimes the names, but I'm waiting for these to size up even more to know what their mature form would look like. And many people ask me if I will someday hybridize Anthuriums. Honestly, I have no desire to, only because everyone and their mothers are doing it in the market. The Anthurium hybrids, if not already, they will saturate the market like crazy at some point. So yeah, and a pro tip, by the way, because we have so many Anthurium hybrids coming to the market, in the next decade or so, the next wave for the Anthuriums would be pure species. The pure species of these will become rare and they will become sought after. So if you have some purebred Anthuriums, hang on to them dearly, because they will become very rare at some point as these hybrids take over the market. So Philodendron biliotai, I'm not supposed to show you these because there will be a video on these. I don't want to spoil you, but we did propagate these in one of my videos, the biliotai variegated episode. And beautiful babies here. I'm waiting for them to get healthier and bigger and stronger. I guess this here is the Forgetti, and we repotted this into this tall pot and did not like it. And this is the sign of overwatering right here. Crisping with a bit of yellow edge and also a bit of infection. So this is not doing so well, but it is putting out another side branch. Sometimes when you have a plant that is stressed out and it, the top portion died off, they put out these side branches. So I'm hoping that they will become healthy at some point. This is crystallinums. Look at them. There's so many of them living in one pot. But when you separate them and you grow them individually, they can size up. And I have filmed this in a villa before that I visited, where it's a balcony full of crystallinums just facing us from the balcony, and it is a beautiful sight. So I don't know if one day I can achieve that. This home is a little bit small, but if one of you want to do that, take that idea and run with it, feel free. But these crystallinums, they can get quite big. Not huge, not enormous, but big enough, bigger than your face. And then if you line them up along a balcony, they are so beautiful, and the breeze just kind of, move them a bit. They look like children's faces greeting us. And next, this is the Aglaonema Lotus Delight. Sorry, I'm going a little bit fast, from Mr. Greg Hambali. I mean, I didn't get this from him, but he is the hybridizer of this Aglaonema, and I swear this is the prettiest Aglaonema there is on the market. Alocasia Bambino, I think. I don't know the idea of this exactly, but I got this from Thailand. It was so tiny. It's from a tissue culture, and now it's grown a little bit bigger. I don't know how big this is gonna get, to be honest, but I just repotted it. I remember repotting it about 3 times, and it is a joy to have, beautiful to look at. And these guys are extremely affordable now. Aglaonema tricolor. How gorgeous is that? I don't know what else to say. I mean, I've been wanting this for a long time and finally got one. And next up, this is the Alocasia. I can't remember the name. It's going to be on the screen. Could be the Nebula, but it's got like this beautiful, intensely maroon underside with this like lime green veining that is really beautiful. It's flowered many times, and I cut off the flower, as you can see here, and it's put out a lot of babies. So this, I need to prune that leaf. So this plant is actually quite mature, and I think if I ground this, it will do so much better. But yeah, this is a beautiful Alocasia, beautiful silver foliage on top. Not exactly the healthiest, but the baby looks quite healthy over here. But yeah, I really absolutely love the underside of this plant. This is the Aglaonema Super White. Now, I bought this already leaning over, because it's like a larger plant and it's a good deal for it. But this has almost no chlorophyll, but look at how glossy and white the leaves are, and I really love that. So it's a slow growing Aglaonema. It's putting out a new leaf over there. And I'm waiting for this to mature, and then I think it will put out babies from down below, and I will start separating it that way. For this Aglaonema, I would not attempt to do cuttings, only because I think this is very difficult. Without any chlorophyll, this is not going to be an easy Aglaonema to propagate. Variegated Monstera, and this is what happens when you underwater them. A lot of the leaves become curly down below, but the newest leaf is beautiful, and I'm hoping the subsequent new leaf will become beautiful. So I'm keeping a little bit of an eye out for this one. Hopefully it'll thrive. A Philodendron Birkin here. This is super light, it needs watering. But there, look at that half leaf. This is so beautiful. This used to be sought after, and a little bit of pink around the edge of the leaf, if you see that pink outline. This used to be very sought after and expensive, but now it's become very affordable and still a classic. And I really feel like this is a plant that will become a staple landscape plant in the future. Syngonium Milk Confetti is trailing. Look at that with the newest leaf coming out. So this will make very good single leaf propagation at some point, although I don't really know what to do with so many of these. Surprisingly, for a plant with no chlorophyll like this, it grows quite fast. I don't really know the origin of the Milk Confetti. It used to swarm the market quite a bit, and people paid quite a hefty sum for it, but now nobody wants these anymore. I don't know why. It's like, maybe because it's too available and it's too fast growing, but I think this will look nice indoor if you have the right kind of furniture and sensibilities, but they're a little bit dainty actually. These are some dark leaf Scindapsus. We will see the parent plant later in my office. Some new leaves coming out. Now I don't remember the name of this. This is like Black Sumatra or the Black Mamba or something. I can't remember, sorry. This is Jade Satin. It used to be variegated Jade Satin, as you can see here. Some variegation, but the new leaves are all green, so I cut it back and hopefully some variegation will come back. And these are some baby Aglaonema rotundum. Beautiful, right? We have a video on this coming out soon. Love the electrifying veining on the leaves. And that one too, that's a cute little baby. These are all grown from like bare nodes like that. This I think is the Scindapsus tattoo. I don't remember, but there's so many of these. I'm propagating them. These are just vines. If you can see the vine going around and around the pot. Once it's rooted, I can actually cut single nodes and propagate them and get many more of those. But yeah, I think this is the tattoo, in fact. I don't know who comes up with these names, but every week there seems to be a new variety of Scindapsus that is being named and discovered. And they are beautiful, but honestly, it's a bit overwhelming sometimes. This here, we saw the cuttings downstairs. This is the Scindapsus mosaic. We can't really see the mosaic pattern on these as much as the ones down below, but this is the parent plant. So they have all these like little dots on it. And then this is a Scindapsus something variegated. I think we have a video on these coming out as well. Not the easiest to propagate. So it's coming out from this one single jar, and I kind of had the vine looped around on top of this pot to propagate, and then this pot, and I will just snip, cut them and have multiple plants from this. And down below, this is an Epipremnum, Marble Queen, the Manjula, and this is the, I think this is a three philodendron hederaceums there. There's a green form, there's a lemon lime, there's a cream splash, and maybe a Brazil as well in there. And this is the view of that Epipremnum pinnatum variegata from up top. Beautiful. This I think used to be the Pink Princess or the Anderson, sorry, yeah, the Anderson. Sometimes I don't really remember my own plant names, but it's like reverting like crazy. I don't see any white stripes along. It's supposed to have some white variegation on it. So if I ended up not having any variegation, I might just toss this plant or just plant this in my green wall there and just get new ones that has good variegation, because the Anderson variegated is actually one of my favorite variegated philodendrons. Easy to grow, fast growing, and that red, green, and white is a color combination that really is beautiful to me. The Anthurium Aspi Limon from Mr. Chandra, he's gifted from him. Thank you. This will also produce trilobes. We saw the smaller specimen downstairs earlier. Clavigerum, the Epipremnum marble. We saw another one on the green wall below. And this is another variety of the Scindapsus variegated, although I don't know why it's so bleached. I think it's just getting too much light here. But look at all these baby leaves. Look at that, how cute. I'm gonna wait for these leaves to size up and then propagate single node cuttings. So yeah, right now Scindapsus that is variegated are sold as like tiny plants, but I think someday they will become like this, almost like a large bushy pot of it, and it'll trail beautifully down. Waiting for that day to happen, but as of now it is still a little bit expensive, so people are selling them as single cuttings. Next, this is a Scindapsus Aspi Sumatra here. Big pot of it, they're quite beautiful to look at. And another variegated Scindapsus, I don't know the name, sorry. And this is the Peace Lily Silver Stripe. I think it is a miniature Peace Lily. It has been struggling for a while, but it is actually honestly doing better. It's pushed out better new growth. So I might repot this soon. Look at this vine here, it's ready to be planted in the soil. So I will probably separate it. I quite like it. And their flowers are really cute. They look like tiny little peace lilies flowers. So if those of you live in a small apartment or an office cubicle with decent amount of light, this is a really good plant to have. Anthurium vitarifolium, this is the green form. We saw the variegated downstairs. I actually made a cut here to send to somebody. And Philodendron gloriosum, this is not doing so well. I think this is like, look at that. It's hit the edge of the pot. It did not like that at all. So the new leaf has been stunted. It hasn't put out a new leaf in like months. So I might actually repot this so that this has a little bit of room to grow. And then back here, this is a tiny baby Anthurium. My mind is blank now. Anthurium. Okay, it'll come to me. Give me a second. Anthurium radicans crossed with luxuriance. We saw the larger one down below, but this is a propagate or a backup. This sad looking plant here, I believe it's a Scindapsus tricolor. The main plant is looking terrible, but the top leaves here are doing okay. I believe I have some on the green wall already. So this is pretty much a backup plant. It's quite unruly, but I really love looking at these baby leaves. Hello. These are some interesting syngoniums. I forgot the name of these, but they are rather beautiful. Look at the variegation on them. And the variegation is rather irregular, but the leaf shape is like very, very, very arrow shaped. So I've got 3 pots of these. I divided them earlier on, so now there's like 3 pots of these. I don't really know what I'm doing with so many of them. This one can be broken down into many pots too. If I really want to separate them, it can easily be turned into many pots. Very slow growing, by the way. I've got these guys a long time ago, and it took them a while to get into this clump, just so you know, like maybe 2 years plus. If you look very closely at these syngoniums, they have these pink edges around the leaves. And for a variegated plant, this one doesn't crisp up very often. It's actually cute. If you have like a very, very small, tiny space and you want like a variegated syngonium around, this is one that will look quite beautiful. And they don't tend to vine around like most syngoniums do. They stay in a clump like this, and at some point you can definitely propagate them or separate the clumps. This is actually 2 months later, and I'm about to film the non-aroid portion of my collection. A lot has happened in between, and just so you know, I've been super busy. All this time I've traveled to Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and I've been to Tokyo twice this year, and then Shanghai, Bali. I literally came back a week ago, and I'm going to be spending a few months at home. I told myself not to travel anymore, to turn down any travel opportunities, although I do have one more Singapore trip to make at the end of the month. So for those of you in Singapore, see you maybe. There's a plant event happening, I think the first day of September or so. And there's a lot of flying flags around me now because this is actually Indonesian Independence Day. It's the day after tomorrow. So happy Independence Day to Indonesia. And yeah, I'm going to show you the collection for the non-aroids. And just so you know, it's such a diverse collection, and the girls have been trying to take care of it for the last 9 months or so. A lot of them came in bad shape when I moved into this house. So we did lose a few plants, and some of the plants are on the struggle bus. Where possible, I will troubleshoot with you to see what went wrong with some of these plants, and maybe you can avoid the same mistakes. And for some of them, it's just a mystery why they have declined, because again, I'm not around to care for these plants, but I will be home a lot more these days, and you will see a lot more of plant content at home. And one more important thing, I've actually cashed out from my Patreon, and I've invested in microphone, in a gimbal, which actually stabilizes the camera. So I used to film on my iPhone, but now for this portion, I'm going to be filming on my DSLR with the stabilizer, with the new microphone. Hopefully you will see the difference. I may be a bit jittery because I have not filmed with such a professional setup before, so please don't mind if the video quality seems off to you, or it may even be better. Comment down below if you've noticed any difference between iPhone and also this professional setup, and to see if you like this setup a little bit better. And for those of you who want to join in and chip in for the channel, I'm on Patreon at Sean from Only Plants. You can also join as a YouTube member, and you can do that by clicking on the YouTube member icon, and it's a monthly subscription for a small amount of money, as much as a cup of coffee, and you get a lot of perks such as early release for the videos. You get to watch them before everybody else. I also have a list of plant sellers around Southeast Asia that I've visited. I have a whole list of them and what they specialize in, whether they export or not. So if you're business to business, this is going to be beneficial for you. Or if you're just a customer looking to browse around, that's also a very good resource for you. And you can also access some of the bonus contents there. There are plant shopping related or just plant haul related, some side quests and adventures. And I'll be uploading more of that in the months to come. But the best part of it is that you get to support my livelihood, so I can upgrade my equipment, upgrade my skills, travel more, and have a better quality of life. All right, enough babbling, let's get on with the tour. The front of the house. So this is the front of the house. I don't really know where to begin, but let's go sideways here because I haven't really checked out this area in a very long time. There is a jungle cacti living here. It's like sun-stressed red. I've got it since it was all sun-stressed like this. So I kept it in a bit of direct sunlight. As you can see here, it's doing really well. It's even put out these, I believe these are fruits. And then over here, there's a euphorbia. is doing rather well. It used to hate it in the pot. I just stuck a few cuttings here and they have largely survived. This Calathea silver plate, it is doing well. As you can see, they are flowering beautifully. And then I believe there's another Calathea somewhere down below. Let me try to find it for you. I can't really see the screen because it's very bright, but there you go. So this is in a shaded part of this front patio, and I think they really love that airflow. They love being grounded. So these are the Calatheas that are actually doing well in my collection. And this is the Cordyline Chocolate Queen. I have a video on how to propagate these. They like full sun. Look at how beautiful that stem is and the complicated variegation that the leaves have. This is actually incredibly beautiful and underrated, but they do require full sun. And as you can see, this one has branched out quite a bit. There's another branch over here, and I just can't wait to propagate it more, although I run out of space. And I believe these are some of the babies. They have sprouted on the side of the pot. They came out over here, or maybe I've stuck a cutting. I don't remember what I did exactly. And this came with the house. Don't know what they are, but they have a beautiful variegated marks on the leaves, and they have grown like crazy, like a weed. I almost think that I should prune this. This will make very good ground cover actually. Like I do see them on the roadside, I see them in landscaping, but actually they are rather beautiful. I believe they do flower in white, but I've never really seen them in flower. This is a Sansevieria or Dracaena kirkii. It's doing okay here. It might be a little bit scorched by the bit of direct sunlight. I might find another place for it, but I just literally threw them here when I moved, and I thought it would be nice to have a bit of a spiky Sansevieria in the front. So this is a Sansevieria. It's a runner that I took from my dad's home a while ago, and it's doing really well. And over here, you'll see some beautiful Sansevieria. They have these beautiful fan shapes. They have grown quite well here. And this is another plant that I don't know, these pink ones. But they're doing really well. All these are full sun loving plants, and this is the kind of condition that they like. Now this is a Strobilanthes diarianus, and as you can see here, they are drooping. And this is probably because the girls, when they watered them this morning, didn't water them deep enough, because it is still mid-afternoon, so there's no reason for them to droop unless they weren't given water in the daytime. So these little things worry me. Not to say that I would not make these watering mistakes when I water my plants. I do make mistakes, but I just have to accept that people are not perfect. Over here, we've got some Sansevieria. I think this is Bantel Sensation. There's a Masoniana whale fin that is variegated, but it is still a baby. I think it died back, and it's just giving me these baby leaves for now, and they're actually quite beautiful. Let me get a closer look. Look at that. I'm finding new love for them. I walk by these every day, but I barely had the time to pay attention to them. And that's also, in this area, you'll see a lot of these stowaways, the mother of thousands, Kalanchoes. They're going to sprout everywhere in your pots. And this is a kind of aloe hybrid. They have formed their own clumps. I can't say that they're doing extremely well here. Don't check on these too often, but maybe they are a little bit parched. They are living in terracotta pots and a succulent potting mix. By the way, we're having this crazy drought in Indonesia. It hasn't rained in weeks, and then the pollution level is insane. Jakarta is now rated the #1 most polluted city in the world for many consecutive weeks. So this is another Sansevieria or Dracaena. These are the ones that I think I propagated from a variegated Sansevieria a while back. This is a Kalanchoe. This is an example of the babies. As you can see at the tip of the leaves, these babies do come off, and wherever they fall, they will produce a full plant. And so this is a species. This is another species of it. So they are actually quite beautiful to have around, but also a little bit unmanageable. They become weeds in no time. And as you can see here, the babies are everywhere in this pot. My gosh, I kind of like it actually. I know it's a little bit crazy that these will multiply even more. Here is a Schefflera arboricola. I've got a bigger specimen up there. It's kind of nice to have them here as a splash of color, as you can see. But I really am hoarding it at this time because I really have no purpose of having it here. More Kalanchoe, they're just everywhere. And I don't know, I have half a mind to turn this whole front area into a desert garden, especially since my
trip to Taiwan where I visited a beautiful desertscape park. It's so inspiring because for me, I always thought that tropical plants are the way to go, but desertscape can be really mind-blowing as well. This is a euphorbia pencil cactus, euphorbia something, but they can turn into a large bush. They can also become a large tree. In one of my videos, I showed that they become really bushy and they become like an overhang, like a place where people can get shade under it. So it's really beautiful. But I've also seen this grown as a tree, like as a single fat stem with like branches like a tree. But they're actually quite beautiful and quite easy to care for. Interesting aesthetics. I used to look down on this. I used to think that this is just average, but look at the new growth in the middle here. Look at that. That's so cute. Look at the little hands that they've put out here, the new growth. Yeah, this is doing quite well here. They're really enjoying this area that they're living in. And then here, Strobilanthus diarianus. This is the Persian shield, one of my favorite plants. And this is actually a propagate. Look at how big it's become. I don't know what to do with you. I don't even know why I propagated it because it was actually grown over here and it was like out of control. So I just took cuttings and multiplied them, and now I have way too many of them than I can handle. This is cute. I don't know the name of this, but this succulent have been living with me for a long time, and this pot that I got from Bangkok, I think this plant is about 2.5 years old and it's put out clumps. And I'm curious as to how to separate these clumps, but they look like brains, don't they? It's very adorable. And we'll see more of these inside, but this is the Tradescantia silamontana. They're beautiful actually, with nice frosty finish, a bit fuzzy on the leaves. They love direct sunlight. And this is just a copy that I have out here. I don't know why I propagate them all the time too. This one here, this is the Nepenthes Viking. This was from our Nepenthes episode. At the end of it, I bought one from UD. And yeah, it needs to be sitting in a bit of water, and we give it a bit of a pumice heavy substrate. This is a bunch of things living in one. I'm very confused. But there's this plant here, but this vine that you see here, this is actually the Euphorbia I forgot the name of it. It's going to be on the screen. I have a video on this plant. They form a caudex and vine like this that looks like Hoyas, but I haven't seen it in a while. So I'm glad that I haven't lost it completely. These are, ooh, whoa. Okay, I broke something. Sorry, yeah. This is way too top heavy. I really need to do something about my Kalanchoes. They're getting a little bit out of control, if you ask me. It's a beautiful Kalanchoe. I see these everywhere. They're not expensive at all. Frosty finish. But I think I'm meant to cut and propagate it so that it will be closer to the pot because it's getting very leggy here. And if I'm not wrong, if I cut the top off and put it in soil, it will live. And then the bottom should sprout a few babies, if I'm not wrong. Please comment if you have that experience. This one, it might be a bit, oh shit, now I know what's wrong with it. I know what's wrong with it. It's sitting in water. It shouldn't. So it's rotted off. Oh, this is so sad. I don't know why my girls do that. I really don't. But as you can see, the base is mush. Yeah. Actually, the girls, they are running my other businesses and they're also cleaning the house. So they have a lot of tasks and I can't blame them for it. Yeah, but I lost quite a few plants. And just so you know, they won't be around much longer because my mom's home is almost done and my mom wants to keep them because they are originally my mom's employees. So I will have to find someone new, and I think that this next person will have to be a gardener at heart, someone who's passionate with plants, someone that I can train. And this is an Opuntia, by the way. I don't know why it's not branching out as much as I would like to, but I got it as a tiny plant. Now it's put out arms, legs, neck, and a head. Very cute. Ooh, and this is the plant. This is the plant, Euphorbia. I can't remember for the life of me what it's called. But their caudex are also quite beautiful. They can be very bootylicious. And this Kalanchoe, I'm a bit fed up of them at this time. They have to go. They gotta go. And this one here, this is really beautiful.
I got them as this strange coral looking plant, and then they started putting off these. I don't know why they do that, but I quite like their coral shape that is very close to the pot. And I don't know how I'm gonna get it back to that shape, but maybe, I mean, you could probably cut these off and propagate and they'll turn into something, I guess. Comment down below if you know what this is and how to propagate it or how to get it back to its old shape. I'm very curious. I'm not a succulent person, just so you know, but I like having them around. And this one too, this is very cute. Look at this in a pig. Oh my God, another kalanchoe. Yeah, this has formed quite a lot of clumps around it. This is cute. This here in my hand is a Dreomopsis maculata. They have this really interesting caudex at the base, but the leaves have really, really interesting visual interest on them. And I just found that I have another one tucked here. I don't know if it was my intention when I moved here to place it in here, but it is doing okay in this shade, although it's lost that little bit of red dots that it has on the leaves sometimes. So I'm gonna look into this plant a little bit more to understand its climate and its growing conditions and propagation. This here is a Euphorbia millii. It flowers and it's got beautiful yellow blooms and it flowers pretty frequently. This is one of those euphorbias that can bloom. And here we've got a variegated fern, a Nephrolepis exaltada, if I'm not wrong. And they do respond well to light. As you can see, the variegations are beautiful here. They're getting a bit of direct sunlight under this shade here. And if you put them where I did before, where it's in low light, they give me almost green leaves. And this is a stowaway fern that came with my old house. So I brought them with me and it's doing really well here. I don't know the name of the species, but I really like their fronds. They're quite beautiful to have. And this one here is totally, I forgot about this plant. This is a Ficus elastica teneki and it's buried under all these ferns and I don't think it's very happy. I need to figure out how to move them at some point. Sorry, yeah, you have to see this. But this is also a reminder for me as to how far gone I have with not caring for my plants and letting my travels get in the way of my plant care and trusting too much for other people to take care of them. We can't really force everyone to love plants. It's not fair to do that. And this is a plant that really drives away mosquitoes. I'm gonna have the name on the screen and it's flowering beautifully. It's quite nice to see. They smell really good. They have that herb type smell. And I put it here when it was a baby. So it's very nice to see that yeah, even running my hands through it, I can already smell. So this is one of those plants that can naturally repel mosquitoes and smell amazing. Oxalis triangularis. I don't know what to do with them. I had a clump of them. I just threw them here and they are alive still. As far as I know, they do go dormant. And look at that. This is their flower, by the way. Cute. Oh, and I see a little bit of Tenante Berlomarxii down there. Nice to see you. I haven't seen them in a while. And of course, these classic Dracaena or Sansevieria trifasciata, variegated. Now this is a plant that for the life of me, I can never remember their name. So I'm gonna put it on the screen, but it has medicinal properties. And normally it's got this interesting origami shape, but these have grown into like big specimens. And I think it lost its origami-ness, if that's a word. If you saw my earlier video, you'll see that these have a lot of folds on the leaves, but now it's rather flat looking. But it is quite beautiful and it's unstoppable. It's a very, very fast grower. I'm just very curious as to why they've become flat like this. Maybe I should propagate and start over. Maybe because they have become a bit more mature. And the variegated ones of these are actually really beautiful. Ooh, that pricked me. That really hurt actually. This Dracaena or Sansevieria, I still don't know what to call them. It bloomed on me once and it was so beautiful when it bloomed on me. The flowers are larger than the leaves, very, very showy. I do hear that they are quite fragrant when they bloom at nighttime. So I've never experienced that myself. If you look all the way inside here, there is a Peperomia obtusifolia variegata. It actually needs more light than this. I should be giving it a bit of direct sunlight. So I might move it soon. As you can see, the leaves, especially the older ones, are becoming a little bit faded to green. They're actually quite beautiful, a vibrant variegated plant. And if you ask me, for a Peperomia, this is quite spider mites prone. They are not happy being variegated, if you ask me, because the green form is actually very, very easy to care for. Bromeliad has Neurogilia pauciflora. I got this a while back and I don't know what to do with it. I had it grown in my indoors green wall, just hanging on the wall, and it didn't do so hot. So I put it outside and let's see, it used to live out here and it was okay. So let me rehab it a bit and figure out what to do with this plant. I'm really hoarding plants at this point, and I'm buying plants and not even sure where to put them. But I think I come from a botanical curiosity point of view, where I'm curious as to what this is and how it might work in my space and how I can take care of it and propagate it, learn about where it came from. So that is actually a really bad habit of mine. And then I end up with all these plants that I don't know what to do with. A big basket of a Pischia here, look at it. It was actually one pot, so I put it next pot next to it, so it's propagating to the next pot. But as you can see, it's trailing over and taking over this space really beautifully. This is a type of, I think, Asplenium. The name is going to be on the screen, but I don't remember the names, but they are stoloniferous. They put out all these baby stolons that you can actually propagate and turn into many of these plants. It takes like a while though. It takes like almost maybe a year and a half to get it to this size. They're actually really, really pretty. They look like plastic plants. They don't look real. But this one has been grown here for about, I don't know, a year plus. And it grew up in size and is doing quite well, quite okay. And it's put out all the babies again. And I'm excited to propagate it again. I have already sold and given away many of these fern. And this is the fern that will always keep on giving for you. And that's what I really like about it. And they do well indoors too. This is another one that's also stoloniferous. It puts out stolon. As you can see here, this is the largest one, the mama plant. And then this is the medium one. And this is the smallest one. This one is doing a little bit bad here. I think this may have been dried off at some point. They do want to be in moist soil and then good airflow, but they don't want to be sitting in water either. So it's not a difficult fern by any means, but it's also not the easiest. As you can see here, this is ready to be propagated. They readily give you these babies, and I love plants that do that. They give life. I don't remember if I bought it or if it was a stowaway, but it is quite beautiful. And it's died on me a few times, that I brought it back to life successfully a few times. It's got like these maidenhair type fronds. So maybe this is a type of maidenhair fern, like an adiantum. It is quite possible. I really like the shiny stem that they have. But this one does well for me indoors actually. I just water it every day to make sure that it's never dried out. But if it is a maidenhair fern, they may actually like a little bit more alkaline substrate, as I've learned from my Taiwan trip. So maybe adding dolomite calcium or dolomite something, I can't remember, but that will make the pH more alkaline and they might actually enjoy that. And I'm also rehabbing some other maidenhair ferns. This one died back to a complete stump, so I'm glad that it's back. But this has played this game for me the whole time. It just died off when we forget to water it, and then it just comes back each time with vigor. And I've got two more maidenhair ferns. They all live out here because they actually really like the airflow here in the front porch. I need to prune that. There's a lot of dead leaves. The thing with maidenhair ferns is that you always have to prune them. They're very fast growing, but they're also very fast to die off. But yeah, they are watered every day. I keep it lightly moist here every day. This is another one. But I'm going to try that trick, really, where I give it a little bit more lower pH value and see if that one will make them thrive a little bit more. And while we're at it, back here, this is a Dracaena white aspen. It's got really beautiful leaves. And I've got a video on how I propagate this. I separated this. Bit of a sentimental value because this came from my mom's bedroom in the old house that we lived in. And this one is rather small. It hasn't grown much, but this is a plant that is always growing. But it actually would benefit from more light because it is living under this giant plant here, the anthurium. So I really think it would benefit from getting more light. I will start moving things around when I have the time to get to it. This is a Dracaena, I think, Song of India. I'll have the species name on the screen, but this is also quite easy to grow. Look at how beautiful it is. Very, very common plant, extremely common and cheap. I would even call this a mall toilet plant. That's how far I would call this. And then this is a Costus erythrophyllus. Maybe this is a better leaf to show you. Look at how beautiful it is. It actually has almost like black leaves. It's got that Costus growth pattern that spirals up. And then they flower really beautifully as well. And I think over there, I don't remember the name here, but this is probably a Dracaena, the one in the center of the screen. And oh, by the way, there's a ZZ Raven here. I didn't even notice that. Yeah, this is something Milky Way, if I'm not wrong. And then this is a kind of Tenanti, and it's doing actually really well. Here's formed its own clump. Beautiful leaves. Looks like an oil painting on the leaves. And these guys actually, they love to be grounded. Tenantis, they're actually good for ground cover and landscaping. But when you put them in pots, sometimes they're quite miserable. This is a Dracaena Masoniana, Wheelfin Dracaena, or Sansevieria. It's not doing so well. Here it's very, very root bound. Look at that new leaf coming out. This is so cute. But they actually look beautiful when they grow into a clump. I'm considering placing this on the front of the house, grounded, so that they can form a clump and maybe even flower for me someday. That would be such a beautiful sight. This year, I believe I have a video on how I've separated this fern. It is actually very pretty. I don't remember the name at all, but it's something ruffles, fluffy ruffles fern. They're actually really fun to propagate. I thought I lost this plant completely, but when I came back from my travels, I'm pleasantly surprised that this one not only survived, but it grew so tall. Let me show you what it looks like from the side. It is actually quite pretty. There. It's here. This is a Jopertia or Calathea mosaica. I think there's another name for it. And I actually saw the variegated one of these in one of my Bangkok plant market trips, and I regret not getting it because it is so beautiful. And this one here, I think it's a kind of Dracaena, if I'm not wrong. It's actually beautiful. It's doing really well. I bought it as a tiny plant, and it's now formed like a clump, and it's living on the side of this balcony here. That if you even call this a balcony. And then this is also, I think, a Dracaena. Comment down below if you know what it is. But this is another Dracaena, and it's so loud, so loud. Yeah, so I don't really remember what the name of this plant is, but it's going to be on the screen. It's going to form a clump. But these are the plants that I actually bought so that I could light them up at night. Just put a spotlight on it and it will light up really beautifully in the garden. And this one has formed an impossible clump. My gosh, this is such a crazy clump of bromeliad. I started off with one, and now it's a lot. This is very good if you want to learn about how to care for bromeliads. I don't know if I can see the screen because it's above me. Maybe I can take it down for a minute. Yeah, there you go. It's actually beautiful, and it's variegated, and it's very easy to propagate and separate. So, and then I believe they do flower too. I'm pretty sure they flower. And if I'm not wrong, the flowers are pink or purple. This is a Dioscorea, and we have a lot of these inside. We're gonna take a closer look at them, but they're weeds. They come invasive almost from my previous home, and they have beautiful leaves actually. I'm now up on my balcony, and this plant, for the life of me, I still don't know the ID. I know I featured it in my fantastic foliage episode. Some people say some kind of lily, but it is getting really big. I think in that video it was only this small, and it grew these two large leaves, and it's actually very, very beautiful. Look at how nice the clusters are formed in there. Like here, I think this is a Cryptanthus, but I could be wrong. They actually love to be in a bit of an epiphytic potting media, beautiful marking on the leaves, but then they can be very, very serrated, very sharp. You could really cut yourself on these. And I mentioned this a few times in my channel, but if you give this a nice pot, like a beautiful white, glossy ceramic, or like a terracotta pot, it can really elevate a look. And as a bromeliad, this one can form a clump, and it has done so in the past few years. It's just given me a lot of babies. This fern here, it's a rosette type fern, and I believe it's like a mini or a dwarf tree. It can become like a tiny little tree because it's got a cool little trunk over here. This one's very dry. Actually, it's a very thirsty plant, but it's beautiful. And this one was eaten by a rat to a complete dead stump, and then it came back for me. So if you lose all the foliage for this plant can still survive. And Blacknum are actually quite commonly used in landscaping. And this one here, this came to me as a weed from my previous home. It just grew on the ground, but I have a feeling that this might be, I don't know if this is a ground or epiphytic fern. I really don't know. And I can't tell for the life of me the species name, but it is putting out a lot of spores. So as you can see, they might release the spore into the air and grow everywhere. This is beautiful. I love watching the patterns on the spores because they're so tidy, so symmetrical. I used to work in fashion, so they look a little bit like detail that you would put on a garment. This is actually a baby bitter gourd. I bought the seeds from Thailand and I grew it, and it's now sprouted this. I really don't have the space for it. It needs full sun, and it will vine around everywhere. So it smells good, by the way. Running my hands through this, it's got this bitter gourd smell that I really love. I actually cook very good bitter gourd meals and bitter gourd soup. And over here we've got the Cyanastrum cordifolium. I think it is time to repot this because it is actually too overgrown. As you can see here, there's too much growing from a little tiny pot, but their leaves are actually really beautiful. Let me show you one good example. For example, this right here, it is actually quite beautiful, and their variegated versions are also very nice. And behind here, this is the Pachira aquatica. In the US, I believe you call this the money plant. It came braided when I got it, and I did braid it a little bit to move it along, but I don't know how well that's doing. This has grown quite a bit. I put it outside, but it is in a very tight pot. I did not repot it. As you can see here, I'm sure it's very root bound. It's been root bound for like months, but I think, again, I don't have room for so many plants, so I'm gonna keep my plants quite small and enjoy them the way they are. So I might repot it in the future, but I don't see that happening anytime now. This one here, this is actually edible. This is pandan. Pandan, if I'm not wrong, they are from the seaside, but then the pandan leaves are actually used in culinary cooking in Asia. They have this sweetness. So we boil them, or we wrap, in Thailand, we wrap chicken in pandan leaf and we grill them, and they're so delicious. So I have them here, and they are known to chase away mosquitoes as well. So if you're looking for a plant that looks beautiful, and this can get large into a large tree, but for me, because again, this is a little bit pot bound. As you can see, all these green shoots, these are all new growth, so this is doing well, and it's also becoming more bushy. If you look at that, there's many clumps there, and many clumps below here as well. This is actually all just one plant, and their signature is that they put out all these roots that come down and support the whole plant, because the plant tends to lean over to one side. But yeah, this plant actually smells fragrant at night. And if I'm not wrong, you probably should give it better feed, like more nutrients, so they can produce all the wonderful fragrance. And again, they are fantastic when used in cooking. This here is a cutting of the Ficus Audrey. It's actually a pretty important tree in India. If I'm not wrong, I have one larger one grown in the balcony, the mother plant, but this is just one of them that I propagated. Again, another hoarding of mine, and I don't know what to do with this. This is a Ficus lyrata, or the fiddle leaf fig bambino. It is actually the dwarf version, and I have a video on how to care for and propagate this plant. They love full sun, but this one is not doing that well particularly. It's got, I just got pricked by a rose. My gosh, that really hurts. There's two vines here, and the other one is over here, as you can see. And it's time to kind of prune them, because when you prune them, you encourage branching out. They actually look really nice as like a small tree that has a few branches coming out of it. And this one here, the one that pricked me earlier, is a rose. And look at that. It is blooming. I'm sorry for the commotion. There are people outside. I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, beautiful. I actually have been getting into flowering plants recently, and this is one of the earlier one that I got. And I think we could probably cut this into many sections and then propagate them and make them bushy. And also when you prune them, they will branch out a bit. So I might do that soon. And this here is some kind of variegated, I think, heliconia. I don't remember the ID of this, but it is beautiful. It's a very common plant, also used often in landscaping. Look at the details on this. My gosh, this is stunning. Stunning plant. And it was so tiny, and now it's grown on me a little bit. It's getting a bit fast. Ooh, and I just saw it branched out. This is the second branch. The main one is over there. And these guys, they don't get very big. I'm like leaning over while filming, so it's not very easy. I believe this flowers in white, if I'm not wrong, and the flowers are actually extremely fragrant. And behind here is another Schefflera arboricola. It's a larger one than the one we saw downstairs. And it's also facing the neighbors. It's what greets the neighbors when they pass by. Hello. Beautiful plant and easy to grow and inexpensive. And I really enjoy propagating it and having it around. And then here you have the Ficus lyrata variegata. This is the variegated fiddle leaf fig. It's happy here. It is so happy in this full sun situation. And look at the new vine that it's given me. This is quite a surprise. But the problem with these guys is that invariably the older leaves will curl up and dry off like that. And only the top few rows of leaves will actually look beautiful, shiny, and gorgeous. Let me take another look at one of the leaves. Wow, I love it. It's put on 2 vines actually. Congratulations. And this here is a Dracaena. This can take full sun, surprisingly. This used to live indoors as well, but it was so slow growing when you have it grown indoors. But this is a very common plant, and it has this dainty stem, and they put out these beautiful leaves. They're very good next to furniture as well. And I need to start repositioning all these plants, by the way. I literally piled them on here. And this here is an azalea. It says azalea white, and I see a bud here, but I haven't really noticed their bloom or anything. So it got it as a tiny plant. It's actually done really well. It's put out so many branches. And with these, again, you really want to make sure you cut it off and prune it so that they can become bushy. And this is becoming a little bit bushy, even though I never pruned it before. Over here, this is a Sarracenia Lana's Delight. And it's not in the best state now because, one, it is piled around other plants, so it's not getting that 8 hours, 12 hours of full sun that it really likes. But also the fact that the sunlight here is not so strong now. As I mentioned earlier, the front yard here is not getting the best light now. But it's put out all these weird curly leaves for some reason, maybe because it is not putting out pictures. So it's putting out all these curly leaves instead. And I believe that this plant goes through 4 seasons, so they also need some kind of dormancy or rest period. And these leaves, I believe, are ones that are meant for photosynthesis. So yeah, I think this is I see more sprouts coming from below as well. So I think this is gonna be doing okay, but it needs to wait for the right month where this is actually quite beautiful. It does need the right month for the full sun to be right above it. All right, this next plant is a Chrysandra. I believe it flowers in yellow, and I actually bought it as a single plant and I propagated it, and now I've got like a whole vine of them, and I'm just gonna be waiting on their flowers. And here we have the Stromanthe Triostar, always rescuing them, and then they're always dying back, but they're actually potentially very beautiful. I might consider grounding this actually, put it in the ground. They actually really love to live in the ground where it gets consistently moist, but it's got good drainage as well, and they really need good light. Now behind here, this is an interesting croton. that I got. The new leaves are actually this beautiful light color, but then they will eventually fade into this like black and red, very Darth Vader type look. And these guys, they actually love to be in full sun. And actually this is quite easy growing, but the thing with crotons is that they are extremely mealybug prone. There's a Gardenia carinata Wallich, is that the name? It's put out a lot of like vines. It started as like a single plant with like a single stem, and now it's branched out for me, which I really like. It's actually about to flower, I think, and this is one that I think has orange flower if I'm not wrong, and it's very fragrant. I bought these gardenias for their fragrance actually. And behind here, behind here, this is the hibiscus tiliaceus. And behind here, this is the hibiscus tiliaceus variegata. Look at the new leaves. They're actually quite beautiful. And this is what their leaves look like. They're very, very irregular variegation, so you can enjoy different patterns. This is just beautiful. I actually meant to try to propagate this. And another plant that is very, very mealybug prone, this hibiscus. And I have not seen it flower in my care, and I've not even seen it flower in other people's nurseries either. But some people say they have white flowers, and I could be wrong. This is a dendrobium. They flowered quite often for me, but these guys, by the way, are full sun loving plants. So if you have like a full sun garden and you want an orchid like flower, get the dendrobiums. This here is the asparagus fern. Sorry, there's a lot of plants in the way, but they have this really interesting Japanese look to it, like a tiny little bamboo forest. They actually love full sun, and this is an Astroragaceae family, which is in the family of asparagus, and it is not a fern. But they love full sun, and they can get really, really big. And the problem with them is that their stems do put out spikes, and that can really, really do some serious damage. And this here is another gardenia. I remember I bought 3 of them, so this is the one, and it's about to flower. This is a variegated variety, and I love the way the leaves look. And here we have some kind of Dracaena. I don't really know if I know the name of this species, but they grow their leaves like in rows like this, so like stem leaves, kind of like a succession of fireworks, and I quite like it. And it's been doing really well since I moved it out here. I used to live indoors for a very long time, and it's responding well to that additional light. And of course here, this is a very, very parched Ficus elastica burgundy. It's put out a tiny little vine here. This is extremely curious to me. Very cute. But this is actually one of my favorite plants, very classic, and one of my most watched videos, if I'm not wrong, when I propagated this plant. So it's grown very big, and that's a secondary vine out of. And just to show you, this is just how nasty the Jakarta air pollution is. So it hasn't rained in weeks, and the air quality is so bad. My gosh, it's really, really bad. And the plants are just covered in dust. I hope the government does something to protect its citizens from pollution. But I probably should clean the leaves soon. But yeah, it's putting out a secondary vine here. This is all coming from that one pot. And as you can see, it's drooping now, because it actually needs to be watered. So I should probably water it soon. But usually we water it once a day, only in the mornings. And this here, I forgot the name of it, but this is a gift from Irene as a seedling. Thank you so much, Irene. The name is going to be on the screen, but it is a very, very, very interesting plant. If you have the chance, Google it up to see what it could potentially look like. And they do have flowers coming in from underneath. I did a profile on this plant in one of my Chiang Mai videos that is going to come out sometime in December, which is like 3-4 months from now, to show you what this plant potentially would look like. Beautiful. And this is a cordyline. I don't remember what variety this is, but look at how striking the leaves are. It's just so beautiful. And they love full sun. We've got another one down below, that chocolate queen. I think this one might have been called something kiwi, if my memory serves me right. And this here, I'm glad it's alive. When I bought it online. It came with me and the stem broke. So there was nothing but a broken stem. So we just stuck it in the soil, and it grew into this. So this plant is probably a very hardy plant to grow, to have, and this will turn into a tree. And I just love the growth pattern on these. But the moringa is actually a superfood. And this here, this is a Tradescantia. This is actually very easy to grow, easy to propagate, and it's beautiful, this shade of purple. Not many plants will display this color. The downfall is that they do grow too fast, so you always have to propagate and grow them again, because invariably they will give you these like bare stem with like bald leaves. So just keep propagating these guys and you should be fine. And behind it, this is an Epischia again. We have got a lot in the house. Beautiful red flowers that it's got. This is like a very, very effortless plant for me. Easy to grow, easy to propagate, and very, very stress-free and so much beauty. And then here we've got a dying Calathea Thai fusion. It actually dries out way too much. I probably should repot it into a plastic pot. And yeah, all this crisping leaf is not good. This is what's left of my white fusion Calathea. I keep rescuing it, it comes back to life and it becomes this, and then I rescue it again. It's a cycle that is very vicious and endless. And then here we've got a Georgiananthus, what are you? Poipigi. And this one used to have more leaves, used to be more beautiful, but I think because it was placed behind other plants, so that side became very, very bald, beautiful leaves. But I think I should probably do a propagation video for these soon and learn how to care for it. And then over here, we've got a Nepenthes. This is one that I propagated with the foliage. I just cut the leaves. I just took a stem cutting and it's grown into this, but it hasn't really put out any picture. I don't have an ID for this when I bought it. I don't know what conditions they're required to put out those pictures, but I should probably move it around and see what works. Show you this, but this is the Chrysothemis pulchella from our video, and it's the sole survivor. There's another cutting inside, but yeah, this is not doing well, but it's flowering quite beautifully, so I probably should propagate and grow this into another bushy pot. But this is one of my favorite plants, by the way. It's actually very, very beautiful. And over here we've got a bromeliad. If you are a member of the channel, or if you follow my Patreon, this is one of the bonus videos where I've unboxed this. I did a plant haul on this. It came as like a two planter, like a mother plant with like a baby, but as I can see here now, there's at least 3 living in this pot, potentially more if I dig a little bit deeper. But look at how beautiful this is. It's been very, very easy and satisfying to grow. They actually like very, very bright light. I would say even possibly full sun, but I might be wrong. And they illuminate really beautifully at night. This here, I keep saying that it's a papaya, but it's not. I was wrong, and I'm not afraid to admit it. It is quite beautiful though. The name is going to be on the screen if I ever get around to finding out what it is. It's started as a single branch, and now it's put out several branches out of this. I've seen this in landscaping and it's quite beautiful. At some point, this was actually very hyped up and a lot of sellers sold these at a pretty high price, but now everybody who wants one can get one. The supply has caught up with the demand. Down here we've got a beautiful crested fern, and I'm really happy to see it doing well here. This was like dying. It was down to its last stem. There's the drying fronds, but now look at how lush and happy this is. And this has very, very beautiful crested edges around the fronds, as you can see here. Stunning. I might propagate this, actually. I might divide it and maybe make a video about it. Look at all these little tiny hands at the end of the fronds. And then here, this is a Leah, don't remember the name, but it's burgundy. And it's stunning. It becomes like a shrub that is like almost black in color. They do like it very bright. When I had it in a lower light situation, it did not die on me, but it was like exfoliating and it was very slow to grow. So they like partial shade, and I dare say maybe even full sun, possibly. Probably one of the most common plants ever. This is the Dracaena sansevieria trifasciata variegata, and it's like doing really well here. As you can see, it's formed a lot of clumps. This actually died back to me quite a bit during the move. I lost a lot of leaves, but it's doing really well, and it's classic. I actually enjoy having this around, even though it's like super, super common. And this back here is like another sansevieria. I don't remember the name of this one. If you do, let me know, but it has got beautiful markings on it. And it's like coming back to life, but very slowly. And here we've got a blooming African violet. Beautiful, right? And this has formed a lot of clumps in there and is flowering quite profusely. Some of the flowers are spent, but some of them are new. And if you look up close, I don't know if you can see from here, but some of the petals have like a silver glitter on them, and it's super adorable. And they can flower indoors, and they're quite easy to care for, these guys. And look at the leaves, they're fuzzy, beautiful, and they're so easy and so much fun to propagate. And over here we've got a stolon of a spider plant. Let me show you where the main pot is, over here. Very common plant as well. Very, very common, but I really enjoy having them around. And my biggest challenge is to get them to grow these stolons, these pups. For me, it's been slow. They're quite stingy at putting them out. For this one plant, I've grown it for 2 years and I've only got one out of this. I think they may put out more stolons after they have flowered, or after they reach a mature size, or if their pot is like super root bound, and if they get good conditions and good care, maybe good nutrients, they will put out more babies. So I'm waiting on more babies for this one. And here I'm a bit embarrassed to show you, but this is a Frontyard. We also did an unboxing for this. It was doing so well. It was so beautiful before. It's still flowering here, but I didn't like it when I moved it out here. So it started balding out quite a bit. I'm deciding whether or not I should even bother rescuing this, because Frontyards, there's always a dying battle with them, isn't it? They're always constantly needing your attention. They bring me stress. So this might be my last Frontyard. I only bought this because it was such a lush pot for like a very, very, very good price, like 35,000 Indonesian rupiah. So I bought it, and it was flowering so beautifully at the time. But no more hoarding for me. I really wish I can stop with my hoarding habits. Here, this is a basil and it's flowering. I grew it out of seed from Thailand. I don't know why I grow this. It's not like I have the time and the space to grow them. And right now it's not the good time to grow them because as you can see, they're a bit leggy. The full sun is actually above us, like behind the house. So I should actually have waited a few more months during the November, December time to grow these so that they could get that full sun that they really need. And that's when they will become fragrant and they will become tastier. And here, this is a Sonanti. Sorry, I can't pull it out. It's like entangled with other stuff. But it's like growing too vigorously in this pot. So it's like choking itself. I should separate these. They respond well to being separated. But I just want to quickly show you how beautiful the leaves are. And it's got this beautiful burgundy underside. So this is actually a pretty plant if I give it the right care. Beautiful Sonanti. Not the easiest though, and they're actually quite fast growing. It's a plant that I rescued from my mom's prayer room. This is a Dracaena twister. So it looks like a Dracaena plant. This is a baby that is put out. I just saw this actually. This is incredibly cute and it's variegated. We thought it was an all green plant, but it was just reverted in my mom's low light situation. But now it's grown variegated leaves again. Very slow growing. And I've seen these grown into like a clump of small plants. So if you prune them, they can branch out and they can become like short trees. They're actually quite beautiful when they're grown that way. This is the Hoya pubicalis splash. I have quite a lot of these around the house. This is one that actually is struggling and I should repot it, only because I've been growing this in this terracotta pot and it's aroid potting mix, and on top of that I top dress it with a lot of moss because it dries up so fast. As you can see, it's very parched here. It's very wrinkly. So this is not a good potting situation for it. I know that I water it twice a day, morning and evening, and it still dries out quite a lot. Next, we have a Hoya pachyclada baby. I think a lot of my Hoyas actually live up there on my balcony. So we'll see more of those later, but these are sort of the propagation area downstairs. This used to be a platycerium, but it's dead, so I need to take care of the carcass, I think, or maybe it's not dead. I don't know. Sometimes they can grow out of this, but the problem is that this has been dried out way too much. There's actually moss underneath it. And every time I come back from a travel, I notice that it's bone dry, and it shouldn't be. They need to be kept a little bit moist throughout. So I don't think the girls are aware of that. And yeah, I'm just gonna let that one go. It's a platycerium. The most common one is a platycerium. That's the parent plant. of that platycerium, which we can actually talk about right now. This platycerium here is the bifurcatum. So this is a mother plant. I actually propagated a few of these and a lot of them actually died back. And as you can see here, the crisping leaves suggest that this is way, way underwatered. So there's a bit of moss behind the plant and I do make sure to water it and I need to leave a note. I know I'm not very good at training people at delegating work, but I need to tell the girls to be on top of watering for the platycerium. But this is also a lesson for you guys to never let it dry out too much for completely. Say Chrysothemis pulchella, we have a video on this. This is one of the cuttings. I don't know where the parent plant is. We might see it later in the tour. And this is a Hadiora. It's actually a jungle cacti. It's beautiful actually. And I think this is just a small cutting. And there's actually a larger one living here. Hanging down, and I probably should propagate this a little bit more because I don't think it's doing that well. It's really hanging down way too low from it, and I can easily multiply this and turn it into many plants, and that might be a very good video idea. Look at that one branch trying to come up. They do have that beautiful jungle vibe, but these, I believe they are tropical cacti. They're not desert dwelling, but I might be wrong about that. And some more Hoya cuttings. I didn't label them, so lesson for you guys, label your Hoyas. You'll never know what they are because, yeah, look at that. I really cannot for the life of me tell what they are. And this here, this is the Thanksgiving or Christmas cactus that is variegated. So this is a Schomburgera, pardon my pronunciation, but I really love that. Oh my God, is this flowering? This is crazy. It's never flowered for me before. So I had the green one that I killed brutally, and now this is the variegated one. But yeah, this is the first time in years, so maybe it did like that I was away for a while. And they're so fun. You can take off some of these legs, pluck them off, and propagate them very easily. Really quite a satisfying plant to propagate. And what I like about them is their baby leaves. When they put out this baby, like almost like a crab, like crab claw-like things, and then they expand in size, take over your space. They're rather beautiful. Now, all the way up there, you will see a kind of Dioscorea, and it's taking over this wire mesh. It actually has really, really beautiful leaves. This is where it's grown from, and it's very thirsty. I bet it's dry. It's always dry. I water it twice a day. And each of these leaves that is put out, each of these nodes, I don't know if you can zoom in closely, but you will see tiny little potatoes in between the nodes, like where the leaf comes from. And I guess that's how you propagate them. Actually, I got this plant as a weed from my rented home previously. It was already growing there, and I just plucked it off from where it's lived. And now it's here, overtaking my new space. Let me see if I can get one leaf up close for you. It's actually really beautiful, and they were very fast growing, very forgiving. And also, I'm guessing because they do go back to the round potatoes, I don't know what you call them, the bulbs maybe, or codex, that they actually can go dormant. They have a water storage facility. This is a cute little peperomia, and it's struggling. This is the last that I have of this plant. It used to be quite big, but I think they do like a bit of cool air. So this hot Jakarta temperature is not going to suit it well. This is a Pischia. We have a lot of these around the house, but I'm going to show you each one of them because they all have slightly different shapes and sizes, and they look so different when you see them in a big bush and when you see them small like this, if you give them a cute pot. And this here, I don't know why they're back here, but this is a very thirsty plant. This is a Piper, forgot the name. It needs a lot of humidity. It's very difficult to grow them here. So I keep propagating them to try to save it. And I think the girls chucked it back there, I don't know if you can see, and it's facing not even towards the light, it's facing away from the light. So this is not a good setup for them. I need to give them better light. Sometimes, I don't know, I'm not strict and I'm not harsh to people. So yeah, in my heart, I believe they are trying their best to care for these plants, but that was a little bit unacceptable that they were facing away from light and in the corner of the shelf. They used to live here, and I know that I bought a lot of potting media and they have to pile it up here to make space for the potting medium. But anyways, and here's another Apischia. This is the pink variety. And Of course, all Apicias are stoloniferous, so they put out these babies and they're fast growing. So I really enjoy having them around. This is a Piper. They have some kind of medicinal properties to them. I'm not sure what they are, but they're used in Indonesia and they can become beautiful. But I always fail to give it consistent care. These guys, they like consistent watering. They like to be kept moist throughout. If you forget to water it, they will dry out really fast and will die very quickly. But they're also fast growers. I believe it's what's remaining of my Piper magnifica, if I'm not wrong. It's actually beautiful as a little shrub with a red underside, if I'm not wrong, but this one is not displaying any of that. But it died back, the parent plant. So this is a rescue that's ongoing, and I think it's a losing battle. Here are some baby African violets. We propagated from the one leaf, and look at the baby that sprout from it. I'm not supposed to spoil it for you because this is from our upcoming video, but an African violet video is coming soon. This is the Marantha. I forgot the name of this. I think it used to be called No ID or Black something, but Maranthas I also struggle with. They come back to life and I save it, propagate it. This is one that's coming back to life and then they decline again. They also require consistent watering. And then this is some Begonia maculatas. Always a pleasure to have them around. I've been propagating these, but they have lost a bit of their red backs. So I'm trying to figure out if higher light or lower light will bring back their red backs. But I need more time for that. This is the Begonia, I think Lady Fingers, and it used to be so big, so lush, and it died back. So I really think that it's already got a very thick stem going on. And a lot of babies are coming from the stem, they're sprouting out. So I am going to maybe do a bit of a propagation with this to get insurance, to get some to come back. This is the Camphoria, I think Camphoria elegans or Pulchra, fast growing. I keep mentioning it on my channel. It's the relative to Calathea. They're easier growing than Calathea. It's more beautiful and more faster growing. But this has battled spider mites quite a few times, and it's living out here in medium light behind the shelf. Another Apicias here. Beautiful. I bought them as a bundle. I think there were 5 or 6 of them, but these are the common varieties. They make really good ground cover, and also they can, in nature, climb up something, because as you can see here, they really want to climb. Their stolons actually are meant to climb up to get better light, but sometimes we grow them hanging down. So yeah, sorry. Another Apicias. This is hanging in a basket. It's almost all green. I don't remember getting this variety. Sometimes it might be this same variety as this, but if you keep them in lower light, maybe the color disappears, or maybe it used to be this darker shade. I don't remember, man. I've got so many plants, but this is always a joy to have around. They are always growing. Look at all these beautiful stolons. This is, I think, the Calathea Flame Star. And it's been struggling, and this is another Calathea something, and also coming back. My Calatheas are always getting attacked by spider mites and then always coming back. They also require constant monitoring, constant care. So you don't want to let it dry out for too much, but you also cannot let it sit in water because it will rot on you. And one thing about Calatheas is that they absolutely love airflow, and sitting in this shelf, actually this is not very good for them because they're not getting much airflow. The fan is actually above them right there. So I do need to move things around. I believe that if I move things around, I'll be more, my plants will be happier, but I just haven't gone around to it. I might make a video about it, about placements. This is another Calathea. These, by the way, died back to nothing. They died completely during the move. So I'm glad that some of these have returned. This is another one that's putting out a new leaf, but this I think is, if you look at the leaves, let me troubleshoot this. With a bit of yellowing around the edge, where the crisp is, this is overwatering. And this is a very heavy pot actually. So I will probably have to reposition and rethink my Calathea care. They need more attention than what they're getting now. This is, I believe, a emblemantha. It used to be called the Labicia, but I think they're emblemantha, if I'm not wrong. Hoya macrophylla variegata. And then this is the, what are you? Hoya. Oh my gosh, it's been a while since I got my Hoya game on, so pardon me, but the name is going to be on the screen. This is, yeah, not going to remember for the life of me now. And then this is a Leah Zippeliana or Leah Amabilia Zippeliana from our video. And we lost a lot of them, but this is the sole survivor, and it's actually a very heavy pot. I need to also tell the girl not to water this too much. There's a lot I need to do, and this is actually drying out too much, and I did notice that. Watering it a few evenings that it has been a bit too dry. So I may have to rethink the potting medium with see that dried edge around the leaves. Yeah, and below here, this is a Calathea, or we want to be correct, you call it a Jopertia majestica princeps. It's actually quite large. It's sitting, or if you pull this leaf up straight, it's probably going to hit my nipples. So that's a very tall plant, actually. It's beautiful. And it's actually supposed to be fast growing, but I put it in a very small and tight pot. So yeah, I should probably repot this. And up here we have some Hoya carnosa, Crimson Queen and Crimson Princess. They live side by side. And I believe the Queen is one that is got the variegation on the outside. So this we're looking at here is the Princess. I kind of been neglecting them. I saw them die back. They used to be a much larger pot, but I will probably someday just propagate single leaf cuttings and have them come back. They're actually very beautiful, and I'm very embarrassed to show you how sorry their current state is. And behind here, there's another Calathea. I think this is called the silver plate. This is commonly used in landscaping. Actually a very fast growing one and quite easy to care for, actually. I do recommend this Calathea for beginners. It's got a nice, beautiful, like calming, soothing green, light green, almost silver finish to the leaves. Not very difficult. And behind this is a Calathea or Jopertia rattlesnake, lancifolia. And there's another one of them. They've been living here, grounded in the potting media. They haven't really grown much, which I'm surprised by. I thought they would form a clump by now. They've been living here for a year now. So not the easiest, I guess, to grow. It looks like it's pest infested, actually. It might have some. And this is also one that is particularly prone to pests. But I keep seeing them everywhere in landscaping, so I don't know how people have been able to keep theirs so happy. And my gosh, okay, this is a Hoya area. Could be the Bertonii, but I could be wrong. And then this is the Croniana, super silver, and I think something's wrong with it. The leaves are not succulent. It may have dried off or have root rot. So I need to save my I need to save my Hoyas, by the way, because I haven't been around. This is probably sometimes they're overwatered and then the roots rotted off and there's no way they can take in water anymore, so they die back. That's sometimes what happens with Hoyas. This is another, I think, is it a Pachyclada? What are you? Yeah, I bought a lot of cuttings and I forgot to name them, and I haven't been able to track hold of them. This is Coronaria, if I'm not wrong. This is one that's beautiful as well. Sorry, I just don't know the names. I don't remember them. It's been a while. And this is maybe a lesson for you to always name your Hoyas. None of them have bloomed for me, and I must say maybe that my Hoya interests have kind of died down a little bit because I've seen a lot of different. This starts with a C, Hoya, Andauensis. This one, and it's not doing so well. I mean, given that it's been living here for a year, it should shot up and look amazing. Yeah, maybe I'm just, I know you don't want to hear this, but maybe I'm just okay with some of them not making it in the collection. If they don't make it, that's fine. I've got too many plants. I'm so sorry. Yeah, maybe you can hear from my tone of voice that I have a bit of anxiety. There's another one over here. This, I think, is the Caudata, if I'm not wrong. And this is a beautiful one. And it hasn't grown much either. So sorry. And some over here. I don't think that they like this environment. Maybe, again, they're not getting good airflow under the shelf. Or maybe I just need to get another fan. But
they actually need to have their moisture controlled better. I hose them down every day, and maybe that is not something that's, oh, this one's Australis. This one has a tag. This one I think is a sigillatus, if I'm not wrong. But again, this is all that I'm left with, and it hasn't done anything in 1 year. That means that it's probably, it needs some rescuing. And I don't know if I have the time to do it. I really don't think I do. Hoya MA20, this one has a tag on it. None of these have flowered. Again, I think they're not healthy specimens, so they haven't stored enough energy to flower. Yeah, maybe I'm just not that Hoya person that I thought I want to be. This is a Hoya imbricata here. Quite cute, actually. Beautiful silver leaves. If I'm not wrong, this is from Aceh in Sumatra. This is a beautiful clump of ferns. They came as a stowaway in my previous rented home. I think they are a bit footed. If you see this, it's kind of like a footed fern, and I have a feeling you can cut off the foot and propagate them that way. They make good foliage and maybe even beautiful flower arrangements. The Scantia Zebrina, total weed. They grow very fast and they're very cheap, and I'm sure you've seen them in landscaping everywhere. The problem with them is that they really do grow too fast, and they're so easy to propagate. But if you look at it closely, it is actually a very stunning plant. It's really beautiful. It stuns me every time I see one. And the fact that they're always growing, they bring us renewed hope for the future, for tomorrow. But I don't think these are going to be well-loved plants. I haven't met people who, look at the beautiful underside. I haven't met people who say that this is like their favorite plant. I think the fact that, again, they are so common, but they stun me every time. I have deep love for them. I don't really even care for mine. Look at how overgrown they are over here, but they're more than welcome to take over the space. There is a jungle cacti hidden back here. I have not even checked it out in a while. Nice to see you. I guess it's still alive. And I love how they put out these growth like that. But this is, again, my plants are probably not doing extremely well, considering they've been here for a year or so. They should have grown really big. But if I keep my eye out for them, this is a beautiful Apishkia perched on the edge of this. And I guess you can see that some of the plants really do take off when neglected and some doesn't. We see a lot of these everywhere, this fern, the Asplenium canzoi, a beautiful begonia, and it's got a beautiful, fierce red underside. Forgot the name of this, but it's got almost dark, almost jet black foliage. Very similar to the Arabian sunset, which I don't know, I used to have them, but I think, yeah, I might have lost it. But let's look at it from the side. Oh my gosh, look at how pretty they are. The Arabian sunset is actually quite beautiful as well. It's got more curly leaves, more thin leaves, which is why they probably died off faster, because if you have thin leaves, you're more prone to underwatering. This is a jungle cacti as well. I don't know the name of this, called the fishbone cactus maybe. It hasn't flowered for me, but this one's not doing well. Yeah, again, with all my other plants, I need to start taking control. And above here, this is a beautiful fern. Actually, this came back from a rescue. I don't know if you saw my older video, this died back to nothing, but now it's back. It's beautiful. Look at all this, I don't know if you call it very skirty, is that the right word for it? And then behind it, the microsorum. This one I have a video, I propagated this, and it's a very satisfying video if you want to see how ferns are being divided and propagated vegetatively. It's a good one. And this here is a variegated, oh gosh, what are you? It's a fern as well. And it's also grown well. It used to be so much smaller. I propagated this and rescued this. So I think this one's going to make it. And up there, there's definitely a Hoya, a very succulent Hoya. Was it a Pachyclada again? I'm not sure. And then here you have a Dischidia cascading down. I don't think it's doing well as well. The leaves are very thin. But these can actually be propagated and rescued if one has the time to do it. This one in here, this is the Cissus Amazonica. This is just a single cutting. It used to be so lush, and we've seen one in the living room. So this is just one cutting, and it looks very miserable here. And it's a very thirsty plant. Even this one cutting needs to be watered every day. Ooh, and here's the up close of that fern that we saw earlier. For the life of me, I cannot remember the name of it. It's an Hisplenium, if I'm not wrong, and it's variegated. The one that we saw above had much more variegation. These are very good light meters, because if you put them in lower light, they lose variegation very quickly on you. Begonia boomer. We saw one in the front earlier, but this is the one that's grown in the back. Very, very fast growing. Also, their weakness is that they grow so fast, they can take over space too quickly. But look at how beautiful they are. My gosh, beautiful foliage. And this is one that I recommend for begonia beginners, and maybe even for people who want to have a bit of begonia action going on in their landscape, that they want to fill out the space really fast. And this is the begonia black velvet. I have a video on this, on how to propagate it. And I remember in that video, my dog Josie was on the cover. I kind of miss her, actually. Oh, this is not doing well. This is not doing well. I'm so embarrassed. It's actually a very easy bromeliad to take care of. Again, this is that Piper crocatum that we saw earlier. It's climbing up. I'm relinquishing it into this wall so they can climb up wherever it wants to. And this Hupertia died back completely on me, but then this little vine gave me a bit of hope. Hopefully this will make it. There are more Hoyas here. This is the Hoya, where is it coming from? Pubicalic splash. They're actually very easy Hoya to grow, and they can take over a space. And back there, I think that's supposed to be sold to me as the Hoya microphylla. It flowered profusely for me before. Like I would count it like maybe 12 flowers or so, but it dropped all of its leaves. Look at that. It dropped most of its leaves. I just noticed that. So what I should do is probably take some of the top and do single leaf cuttings and try to turn into many plants before I lose the whole thing entirely. And this is a Dischidia jerry, also seen better days. It's living in just cocoa fiber, and I know it dries out way too fast, too much. But this is what it looks like. This is a very common Dischidia, actually. Here, this is the Angiopteris avecta. My gosh, so many people commented on this fern. It's insane. This is actually doing really well. If you saw my fern video or my other house tour video, this fern was like about this tall, and then now it's grown this, and now I saw another leaf that's taller. So they have a very prehistoric look, and if I'm not wrong, this species have been around for many years. And beautiful, beautiful fronds. One downfall for this is that they do love humidity. I hear that you have to group them with other plants, and it's so happy after I moved them back here, group with other plants, it's taking off faster. But also, do you see that underneath? We actually put a bowl of water there that we have to fill up every day. This thing drinks up water like there's no tomorrow. It's such a thirsty plant. And if you forget, they will droop for you. They will tell you in a very dramatic way, please feed me. So this can actually get big if I put it in the ground or in a bigger pot, because it is in a small pot now. If I put it in a bigger pot, it will take off so fast. But by the way, I need to be clear with you guys. All of my plants here are kept small. I know that there's many of you that prefer plants to get big, but I really just don't have the space. So my goal is to keep the plants alive, compact, and where possible, I'll try to propagate it, to study it. And yeah, I can never, like this is my exception. This has grown so big. This is from my aroid portion of the video. But I really would love to have more plants, but keep them small. I'm a plant hoarder in that way. This is a Dahlia. It's seen so much better day. If you saw my other videos, you know that this has been beautiful, but we can't figure out if this is actually under or overwatered. I believe it's overwatered because the top here looks very dry, so we keep hosing it down. But one time, me and the girls, I think 2 months ago, we put our finger in there and we noticed that it was actually soaking wet inside. So it might have been, if you look at a bit of the yellowing as well, it might have been overwatered. So I was going to do a video, but let's see if I can still get to it, where you can propagate this by cuttings, the feet. So maybe I'll get to it now that I'm home. This is a Schefflera that I got. I bought this because of my Singapore videos. I saw some people, I think was it Gardens of Tay Galaxy with Ryan. I saw that he has a beautiful specimen, so I bought it here. But it's been living like this. It's definitely rooted, but it's not put out any notes. It did not put out any babies. So for, I think, 3 months now. So I think this may have been just a cutting that maybe is from a woodier stem that has no activated node. And this here, this is an epiphyllum, if I'm not wrong. This here, let me get down. And this used to flower for me so often, like every few months. Beautiful white flowers that only last one day. And ever since I moved it here, it hasn't flowered. So I should probably move it back somewhere where it's more happy. And this is a begonia that we bought from one of the plant shows in Indonesia. It's doing quite okay. Yeah, it's definitely needs something to prop it up to. But for a begonia like this, I would say, look at how leggy it is. It's best to propagate it and make it bushy. Because imagine this, but in a bushy clump, it could look so beautiful. Calathea or Bifolia, my biggest nightmare, my frenemy. I love it, and it comes back to me. It actually was such a beautiful clump a few months ago, I remember. And then I went traveling, and now it's like this. I think, yeah, this is way too dry for it, if you look at the media. And the girls just watered it today, so it didn't get evenly watered. But I think this shows that at some point it was even overwatered. So yeah, this is another Calathea, I think fasciata, if I'm not wrong. Name's gonna be on the screen. Also not doing that well. But this is my pride and joy, the Dioscorea discolor. So the pot is over here. But oh my God, why is this? This is looking sad. Okay, hang on, let me check. It was really beautiful a few months ago. Like these are some of the leaves. I really think that I should probably propagate this again and start over. Because look at that, they've grown everywhere. It's gone all the way up, and around. Yeah, as insurance, I should probably take a few cuttings of this. I remember also in one of my previous home videos, I showed this plant. In my fantastic foliage episode, this is one that is featured as a plant with the most beautiful foliage. Look at this one leaf here. This is so stunning. And it's a fast grower, but they do go dormant on you. So if you have them died back, like this here, I'm a bit worried that the vines have died back here, but they have a little, I don't know if it's a caudex or tuber in the soil that can come back, and when they do come back, they do so with vigor. Now we are going to look at some orchids and a lot of dead orchids. There's one over here, and again, I don't know all of the names except this one. This is a Colonie Pondurata. I think this is given by Fahri Orchid. Thank you so much. Your baby is doing well here. When people give me plants, I take really good care of them. And yeah, it's put out leaves after leaves, and this one is even grown into the wire mesh. So I basically hose this area down every day, and because they dry off completely within 1 day. And then I fertilize this almost every month or so. But not all orchids are happy with this arrangement. This here, I think, used to be is it a Vanda of some sort? And again, a lot of dead. This is a Phalaenopsis. Hasn't put out flowers in a while. That one is a hybrid that I bought. It used to have, it's trying to put out a flower bud over there. But this is beautiful flowers. But when it was living in the pot, the girls overwatered it, rotted off most of it. So yeah, it was living upstairs next to my work computer. So maybe this is on the way to recovery. And this is some kind of dendrobium, if I'm not wrong, or a hybrid. Hasn't really flowered again, but a lot of babies are coming out. Yeah, and this one is actually my pride and joy. I don't know what happened to this leaf, but they flower very often, every 2 to 3 months, and they flower beautifully. So, and if you look at it, the clumps have increased in size. They've put out new leaves, easy to grow so far. And a few air plants, a few dead air plants, sorry. And yeah, I remember that this shelf used to be covered in air plants, but I think most of them unfortunately have died off. I'm pleasantly surprised that this Hoya retusa is still alive and doing well to put out new growth, because they keep dying back on me so fast. This is a Hoya, what is this? Oh my gosh, I really need to get my Hoya game back on again. Lacunosa, it's an easy one. I love propagating this. I use single leaf cuttings to propagate them like a single butterfly. And look at all these babies that come out, I think 9 months later. They're also very generous about flowering, and their flowers smell quite amazing. This here is a Cissus quadrangularis, and I love their stem. Their stem is geometric in shape. Let me see if I can get a closer view of it. It's really, really beautiful. And in Thailand, in the Queen Sirikit Botanic Gardens, I saw a huge specimen of this that clamber everywhere up to the roof and back down to the floor. They have some kind of medicinal value. Mine died back, but it seems to be coming back into life. Look at this. This is a new vine. That is a new vine. I still need to research their conditions, but it is in the Cissus genus. So maybe one day I'll look into it a bit more and get on top of you.
This is my office area. We can start on the left here. This is a Peperomia clusifolia, and it is actually a little bit suffering. There's too many of them growing from one tiny little pot here. So I meant to do a propagation video because it's been a while since I propagated a Peperomia on screen, and this is actually one of those plants that got me started with this plant hobby. I got one from IKEA. I believe it could be this particular one, and I just kept propagating it, and it's just so nice to have around. This is actually a beautiful plant for beginners. I highly recommend it. And here we have got the Peperomia obtusifolia. We saw the variegated version outside, but this one is doing well indoors. And this is very common, probably the most basic Peperomia out there. It's also known as the baby rubber plant, but it is not related to the Ficus elastica by any means. And I really love having these around. They're very good companions. They're very fuss-free and actually look beautiful when you give them like a nice pot. And behind here, we've got some rescue happening. This is the Peperomia turboensis. It's given VIP treatment right here in front of the window in my air-conditioned room. They do like it cool, they do like it humid and bright indirect light. This is actually a fast grower and actually a very underrated and beautiful Peperomia if you ask me. I hope I have success with rescuing this one. And next to it, this is actually an aroid. It shouldn't be in this portion of the video, but this is the variegated ZZ plant. Sansevieria fasciata Whitney. It's given by Omaline in my Sansevieria episode. If you love Sansevierias, do check that episode out. This is one of her gifts. And actually, it put out a baby for me. This is a secondary vine that grew off the side. And it is a bit of a green on green variegation, so it is not like the same common Trifasciata that we're used to. And this here is a cacti that I have outside for a while, and I did not like it at all. A few of them rotted off, but as you can see, the rescue has been quite successful, and this one is doing rather okay now. This, if I'm not wrong, this is the Kalanchoe tomentosa, and it needs to be propagated and rescued really, really badly. So leggy, but look at all these aerial roots that it's put out here. Super cute. So one of my rescue projects, right after I film all of this. This is a Dracaena or Sansevieria bonchalensis silver, also a gift from Omaline. Very cute, and it's doing quite okay. It's been living here in good light, and I monitor the watering very well here because I can control the moisture quite well. But I think it might be a little bit underwatered because some of the edges are becoming a little bit crispy. So I might have to increase watering a bit. I have half a mind to just set it free outside to let it grow maybe a bit faster. And this here is a mysterious cluster of various plants. So I believe there's some aloe here, there's a Haworthia. I don't know what these guys are. And they've been living here for a while. They're doing okay here. Some of them are even trying to leave the pot. Don't go, don't leave. And yeah, I should probably pot these up to a larger pot so that they might be a bit happier. But this has actually been quite a good companion for me as I'm working next to this table. It's nice to kind of look over sometimes. And this here are single leaf propagations of succulents. I don't know the name of these succulents, but I have a feeling that they are actually etiolated. They might actually need more light than this particular species. This is another kalanchoe, a very fuzzy variety, and it's very leggy again. I need to kind of save it. This used to live outside in the rain, and then it got a little bit mushy, so I got worried and I brought it indoors. And now it's doing quite okay. Actually, it should move it back outside because it's no longer the rainy season. So it might actually benefit from having a bit of a better light situation. And these flowers beautifully, they have the cutest little flowers. And next here we have got the peperomia. I think this is parallel, if I'm not wrong, but the name's going to be on the screen. This is also on the way to being rescued. Could be the tetragona as well. Sometimes the two are a bit confusing. Now I did lose one of the peperomias. I'm not sure which one I lost, but this is very, very beautiful. It's very succulent leaves, and yeah, it got a bit overwatered at some point and it rotted off, but I hope this is on the way to recovery. Oh yeah, by the way, this area is where a lot of plants are recovering and I can keep an eye on them. Also, it's cooler here, so it's like air conditioned. This is a string of hearts. And I've got a lot in the balcony. We're gonna see them shortly, but look at how they have vine everywhere. They're growing vines every freaking where. Look at that. This is cute. And we're also propagating them. I don't know why, I don't know what for, to be honest, but we're multiplying them. There's no reason for us to, I think it's hoarding at this point. I need to learn to maybe start giving that just a bigger pot and just grow a single pot of it. But with these guys, actually, I've learned that you kind of have to keep them around as insurance. You need multiples because one wrong watering and you will lose the whole thing. This here, I believe this is the Euphorbia knutii, I don't know how to pronounce it well. Let me see if I can get a better angle of it. It vines around like crazy and it's got very, very cute little vines that I actually quite adore. They look very, very much like a Euphorbia vine. And it's supposed to have a codex, if I'm not wrong. It's supposed to, if you dig in deeper, you might see something, or you might want to wait until it's a bit more mature. I don't have the heart to do it yet, but you can propagate it by just cutting off the edge here and just stick it in soil, and that's why I end up with 2 pots. Don't ask me why I have 2 pots. Again, it's probably hoarding at this point. I only have room for 1 actually, but I really love how it's like coming down from this shelf here. This is getting very excellent light. The Dracaena marginata, I believe, the variegated, and it sprouted some babies for me and I really appreciate it. And it's telling me that it loves it here. It's been living here for the last 3 to 4 months or so. And these guys actually make really nice indoor trees, but they also make really good landscaping. So they're actually very versatile. If you look up above, this is what the leaves look like. And with them, you always have to take off the lower leaves. The lower leaves like this would come off, would yellow out and dry out. So we have visitors coming over. Before that, you probably should prune this a little bit, but they are actually very easy to grow. They're getting bright indirect light here. They have been known to take direct sunlight, maybe even full sun if I'm not wrong. And the variegation hasn't really reverted on me, but I believe that the lower light will cause them to revert. The tricolor is also cute. The tricolor has an additional pink stripe around the leaves, but also if you want to go with the classic, the all green is also nice. They look really good next to a furniture. Apicias, so they're getting medium to low light here and they're actually quite happy. Again, this is an air-conditioned room. Apicias do like it slightly cool. They don't like to be in the sweltering heat and the high humidity that can really cause them to go downwards really bad. This one is probably, I would say, the happiest Apicias in my collection. It's put out these cute little flowers. How nice. I love enjoying these. And this one has like shiny, dark, and very, very luscious, the word for it. It's just looking very full, plump, and happy. And this new vine is coming out in the back. So yeah, among all my Apicias, I would say that this is the one that is the happiest. There's another one on the shelf here.
I'm moving pretty much a lot of my gesneriads into my air-conditioned room. The begonia maculata on my shelf here, and many people ask, like, how do you water these plants without getting dirt all over your shelves? The answer is, I don't mind it. It just gets everywhere, so just something that you gotta live with. It's a zigzag cactus. It is like a bit of a rescue. I should probably move it to the greenhouse. It's like putting out new vines everywhere, but then the new vines are a little bit skinny, so maybe it needs a little bit more light than this. We do have some light setups here, so it's a decent amount of light. And this is the variegated vanilla planifolia. It's an orchid that gives you vanilla. I have a video on this. Feel free to check it out on my channel in case you haven't yet. To check this one out, but there's a Hoya Bella living here, and I haven't checked on it in a while. Wow, it is growing pretty long. It's growing all the way down there. So that's awesome, I guess. I guess it really likes it here. It does get a little bit of that air conditioning. So yeah, and bright indirect light. This is the final area that we will film in. This is my ICU unit. So a lot of the plants here are either VIP or recovering, or just haven't been moved back out since they came here. This is Dischidia numularia variegata, and it's doing really well. It's cascading down the shelf here, and it's next to a string of hearts, which is also cascading beautifully down here. I want to keep everyone reminded that for string of hearts, you do want to make sure that the top is full. So you want to sometimes swirl the strand around to make sure that it's rooted into the top of the soil, because otherwise you'll have some balding spots. And this here, I believe this is the Hoya Sunrise. It's actually a hybrid, and I think I should propagate this to get a bushy pot. Look at that new little vine that's coming out in the back. How cute. This is a Hoya Carnosa compacta variegata that has not grown for me in the last 3 years. It's put out some new leaves, as you can see in the back there, but this is extremely slow growing. And I think one of the reasons may have to be due to inconsistent care. This plant may have died back a few times, came back and died back again, but right now it's doing quite okay. And here we have more Hoyas. I don't really remember the names of these. I think this is either the parallel or the tetragona. The name's gonna be on the screen. It looks almost like a Dischidia almost. This here is a almost square-leafed Hoya, and the name's gonna be on the screen. It's actually very cute. I love when they put out these little leaves that expand in size. This is also a rescue. I rescued it about, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, and now it's doing quite okay. More Hoyas will be joining this area very soon. This is Dischidia ruskifolia. This is also like a rescue area. Actually, I meant to tidy this up, but I'll do that soon after. There's what's left of the string of hearts variegated, but I think it's going to pull through. It's going to do okay. This is a Hoya, either Shepardii or Kantiana, or yeah, I should really label them. I don't know the Hoya names. These are different. I can tell from the way they look. This, if I'm not wrong, is it the verticillata? It might be, with like the dark rim around the edge. This can actually take very, very bright light, possibly even take full sun. And then this is the mother plant of that Nepenthes that we saw outside before. It's not doing so well here for some reason. I should probably check the pot soon to see if it's over or underwatered. And over here, there's actually 4 pots of these hoarded Tradescantia silamontana. They're doing really well actually. But if you put them in more light, like direct sunlight, because you can see here it's exfoliating. If you put them in very, very bright light, they will become very compact and beautiful and even flower often for you. This is the Stephania erecta from our video. It keeps coming back, going dormant, and then coming back again. And over here, this is the string of dolphins. I'm really glad that it came back to me, because just when I moved here, I saved just one strand. It was actually just one strand coming down, and now it's become a little bit bushier. So I'm glad that's happening. This is a Microsorum thailandicum baby. When we saw this in our fern video, it was like the size of a tiny little pinky. So I'm glad it's doing better now. This is a propagation of that Christmas cactus that we saw. We saw the variegated one downstairs, but this is the green form. This is a Nepenthes ventricosa crossed with Alanta. Let me see if I can show you any. It likes to perpetually live in water, by the way, just like a third filled with water. This is the dried up pictures. Hang on, this is a better picture to show you. This is a gift from Yudhishthira. Thank you so much. I really want to start collecting more Nepenthes, but they require extra care, so I don't know if I can get into it. And there's two here about propagates of a Abelmoschus. This is actually a very phallic looking plant. Let me see if the other one has better leaves. Yeah, that one in the middle of the screen. This can get into like a tree. They love full sun, so I should probably, look at how much roots there is. I should probably, ooh, and it's branching out like crazy. These are all little branches that it's trying to put out. So I should probably repot this very soon and give it more light. This is the view of that Dioscorea all the way from up top. They're really taking hold of this pole here. Oh my gosh, and I really should propagate these. Each one of these nodes can turn into a full plant, by the way. Some Hoyas here. I don't know if I can get close to it. I don't want to drop the camera, but yeah, I really am not going to give you too much of a close-up because they're not, I don't know, they're a bit out of reach. I don't want to like pull this off and then like have a bunch of plants fall down below, so hope you don't mind. This is one that's variegated, this Hoya. Don't know the name. Do I have a label on it? I don't have a label on it. Label your Hoyas, people. This one is also very cute. It's got very, very fuzzy leaves. For the life of me, let me see, there's a tag behind. Verstagii. This is the Hoya Verstagii, and it's grown kind of everywhere. It's got very fuzzy leaves. It's like put out runners, and it's appearing everywhere on the second level. And then there's one more over here. I don't know the name of this one either, but they actually love it here. Not all the Hoyas do well up here. We tried to keep them all up hanging here before, and a lot of them actually died back miserably. This is very, very distracting. Look at it, it's constricting each other. This is so cute. It's like wrapping it around itself. Now this here, there are two Tradescantias. It could be called the Fluminensis or something. There are two different ones, but I'm almost giving up on them because look at this. This is what happens with Tradescantias. They will grow very fast, they will grow very long, and then they will be bald on the top. I remember for this particular plant, I spent countless of hours propagating, and then they will turn into this again in no time. So I kind of want to give up on them. It's beautiful, don't get me wrong. I will enjoy seeing other people grow them. But for me, I cannot dedicate hours and hours on this one single plant when I have so many that I actually need to take care of. But if you propagate these single node cuttings, they can become a nice bushy pot of it. So this has potential to be beautiful, but the beauty is very, very temporary. And next here, I forgot the name of this plant. Hopefully I can pull it up for you on the screen. But this is also died back, and this is a rescue. So I'm glad that it's coming back to us. We're in my bedroom actually, where this little balcony here. There's a Ficus Audrey mother plant. So this is going to become quite big. And then all these roots, hopefully, will start going everywhere. They might even grip into the house because these guys, in nature, they're very epiphytic. They can grow and latch onto other trees and use them as support. And ever since I moved here a year ago, this has put out a lot of new leaves. But we saw a lot of babies below that I made from this one mother plant, and it's branching out like crazy. So I have a feeling that if you give this many, many years, this can overtake the balcony, and it can become like one, even with the house. And this plant can also take some direct sunlight, maybe even full sun. So I'm quite confident that if I leave it out here, it will do its thing. All right, so that concludes our tour. It's clocking at around 3 hours, so congratulations for making it all the way to the very end. Thank you so much for sticking around the channel and going through this journey with me. Going through my plant collection, it really reminds me that I have been neglecting the collection quite a bit. And a lot of you guys may be wondering why. If you look at my videos, you'll know that I've been traveling for the last 9 months. We've got episodes in Japan, in Taiwan, in Bangkok, in Singapore. Some of them are coming. So I filmed episodes up to 5 months from now. I've got a lot of footage to go through and to edit, and these botanical adventures are very important for me to tell the story, to show you how some of these people are growing the plants and why they grow them. So I've learned a lot from these trips, and I take these valuable skills back with me, and hopefully I can incorporate some of these new plant care techniques to my collection. And I think another problem is that as I was sweeping through, I keep telling myself, and even sometimes you'll hear me say that in a video, that I will one day make a video about propagating and rescuing these plants. And the problem is that one, these things take time, and two, I've already got a lot of footages, I've got a lot of videos that are waiting to be edited. So I hope you don't mind if I save these plants, because those are my top priority now. Propagate them, save them off screen, because it's so much more efficient when I do so, and it brings me more calm, more peace when I can be in my own world to take care of these plants. And I will show you some where possible. For example, in the last 2 days alone, I've already saved some of these. This is a new propagation station, and over the next few weeks, more plants will come in here to be rescued. I've also taken down the paranet, because in the back area there, in the back garden, the light is becoming low as the sun is moving southwards, so there will be some styling and things like that. But again, I ask for your permission not to film them, because they are so much faster when I just do it without having to set up the camera, the audio, and having to worry about editing the videos later. And these plants urgently need my care, they need my attention right away, and they are my top priority now. So you will see some changes in the next tour video. Maybe I'll do a follow-up in a few months and show you some of the positive changes, and also maybe I'll walk through with you some of the process of rescue. And personally, plant rescue, plant propagation is my interest. It's always been my number one passion. That's why you'll see that in my collection, I collect these plants unsustainably. I buy them without knowing where to put them in my house. I wanted to think of myself as someone who's very good at styling, and I am. I'm a visual person, but I can't see myself applying my plant collection into this home that I'm in the interior decoration, because these plants don't make sense in terms of design. They are my botanical interests, and I hoard them, and that needs to stop. But meanwhile, let me enjoy rescuing and saving these plants. And maybe that's just the kind of plant person I am. I mean, we are all very different. We collect plants for different reasons. And I guess it's becoming abundantly clear that I'm just a plant hoarder, and I just love them so much, I don't know what to do with them. Maybe that's that. Thank you so much again for watching this. And by the way, we may skip next week and even the next following week's video, because I want to give you guys time to catch up on these very long episodes. You don't have to watch them all in one sitting. You can watch them over many periods. Just save them to watch later. Take your time through this video, relax, and actually, it will be good for me to take a break as well and to start rehabilitating some of these plants. So I will see you in a few weeks from now. Take care now, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Patreon members, for supporting the channel. Should you consider joining as a member, the Patreon link is Sean from Only Plants. It can also be found in this video description. I've started producing bonus contents for members. These include plant hauls, plant shopping, and mini bite-sized adventures. The same bonus contents will also be unlocked for you if you join to become a YouTube member of the channel. There is a monthly membership fee as small as a cup of coffee a month. Simply go to Only Plants channel page and click join. Your contributions help me grow the channel, do better content, and have a better quality of life. For that, I thank you from the bottom of my heart.